Okay, choppy audio. Are we good now? I undid it and I redid it. Is it good? Can you hear me? Is it loud and clear? Better now? Is it really bad or something? Or is it good? Good morning. Okay, now works now. Okay. Sounds like we got it good. Okay. All right. So, anti-animal use here. Go ahead and squeeze in here. Never going to be like shoulder to shoulder. We got little, going to be in each other's bubbles. I'm Vegan Stoner Lady. You can find me on all platforms. Please follow anti-animal use on all platforms. We're going to be talking to our neighbors here. We're in Portland, Oregon, in front of the Pioneer Place Mall, hoping to talk to people about their ethics and morals, seeing if they're living in alignment with those. I'm going to pass the mic.
Hey, I'm Rebecca, also the Uncaged Front on Instagram and uncagedfront.org. I have a blog there. Always working on something new. Been a little stalled the last couple weeks. Had like oral surgery done twice, so I've been kind of like out of commission, but I'm back. So glad to be here with the group today. Check out our website. Got a lot of resources. If you're not vegan, you're kind of contemplating it, check it out. Could help you transition.
I am Nick, aka Grass-Fed Human, on Instagram and TikTok. I'm happy to be here. I've missed the last few, so I'm trying to get back into the swing of things. So hopefully we have some good conversations today, and hopefully we can, if not get people to go vegan, maybe at least plant a seed, and hopefully they make that change themselves. So.
Hi, I'm Pam. I'm Veggie Root on Instagram. And thank you all for being here, and we're looking forward to talking to some people today.
Hello everybody, I'm Enigma. Thank you for joining us here in Portland. The weather's a little bit mixed here. We're going to see what happens. If you're interested in learning more about the intersection between human liberation and the liberation of our fellow Earthlings, please visit totalliberationnow.org. There's lots of resources there, or you can follow and connect with Total Liberation Now on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Looking forward to having some conversations here about whether we should continue objectifying our fellow Earthlings, or we should stand against that injustice.
Hello everyone, I'm Luke. Thank you all for being here. I'm here today to help people think of animals as individuals rather than as objects or a means to products. Thank you all for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Luke. All right. Yes, let's get started. So it's going to take a few minutes for us to get into our conversation. So until then, we're going to talk to you. Actually, I think I just messed up our shot, did I? I like to move that hand thingy. I think it looks okay.
It's okay.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Does the microphone crack when we go back over here? You guys just want to know, because it seems like sometimes during the live it goes crack-a-doodle-doo. Thank you guys for liking the live. So we're here in Portland, Oregon, and we're going to talk to our neighbors. We're going to see, if people are actually living in alignment with their own principles. And, maybe we can get some people to stop exploiting others for no reason from this things. Oops, there we go. We're live on both YouTube and TikTok. If you could, please make sure you tap the like or the heart. If you could, share the live and comment. Let us know. Like, if you're not vegan, why aren't you vegan? Let's do a little poll. If you're a vegan, put a 1 in the chat. If you're not a vegan, but you're here for curiosity reasons, put a 2 in the chat. And, if you're just not vegan, you can put a 3 if you want to participate.
Hello everybody. A little bit loud and noisy right now. I have a train going by. I want to ask you, what is your ethical justification for exploiting animals in 2026? When we have another option, what justifies our continued contribution to that system of violence? Let's talk about it. We have a few folks looking for cards.
Oh, the cards are in here.
Oh, they are?
Oh, and they should be in there, and if they're not, I have the rest of them, because I told Ian we need to order more. All right, I'll have you split that between you two, actually, if you could. Oh no, there should be more.
Probably in here.
There are lots. There you go.
Maybe I just didn't look hard enough.
Oh boy, here you go, Pam. You're very welcome. Okay, I see a lot of ones. That's good. What's up, my vegans?
Yeah, because I have.
Sorry, I was covering the other mic. I want to know what you think about. Yay, ones! I want to know what you think about plant sentience. Well, animals are sentient. They feel, they care about what happens to themselves. And if plants also feel, then we should stop growing them and breeding them to feed to the animals, you know? But most of all, just stop exploiting animals. Harm elsewhere in the world doesn't justify you enslaving and exploiting someone else.
Hello, Lambretta. Hello to the vegans. Somebody says anti-killing bugs for vegetables. So there is more insect killing happening when we exploit animals than if we consume plants only. This may seem paradoxical, but you have to keep in mind that we grow way more plants to feed them to animals when we have a system of animal exploitation than we would grow if we just had a plant-only food system.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more bugs being killed because of the omnivore food system. And while we're transitioning to a plant-only food system, we can also implement veganic farming practices to further address those insect deaths because we don't like it, and we should seek to address all of it.
Yeah. And to be clear again, just because there's harm elsewhere in the world, incidental harm, things that aren't intentional or necessary, it's unintentional versus something that's intentional, directly demanding someone's exploitation or enslavement, right? We don't demand that those animals be in the fields. And in fact, if that land were wild, they would be predators and prey, right? So they actually, so far what the studies show is that we don't know if having a farmland there increases or decreases the harm to animals just because they could be predated upon naturally.
Somebody asked, you are trying to save bugs. We're opposing their exploitation. So we certainly don't support the movement to farm, for instance, grasshoppers to eat them. That is exploitation of sentient beings.
They be there.
And we oppose it. We're just saying that there's a difference between somebody being indirectly harmed and us directly exploiting somebody else.
Yeah.
Do you understand the difference?
Exactly.
Somebody says they love steak. So you're pointing to the enjoyment factor. You're saying, I get pleasure from consuming a piece of a cow. But I want to ask you, when you weigh it up, when you consider your own ethics, what do you value more? Short, temporary, fleeting pleasure for yourself, or the entire life and suffering of an individual? What do you think?
Yes, we're here in Portland, Oregon, in front of the Pioneer Place Mall. And we're hoping to talk to some of our neighbors, some of the people that we live around, about making a fair society for everybody, regardless of your species, skin color, gender, sexual orientation, etc. But what do you do with dead animals? You let them return to the soil, just like you do with humans? Why do you throw away humans after they expire?
Something to chat with you.
Oh, sure. Yes. Did you want to talk? Oh, okay. So anybody have any questions or maybe reasons why they're not vegan? We can address them. What was that?
Which one's this? Is this YouTube? And this is TikTok.
I believe, yeah, this is YouTube, this is TikTok. This is hilarious. What's so funny? If you want to feel optimally, you have to eat raw animals. So we're here talking about those animals' rights to live, just like as if you could eat my arm, right? And that maybe gave you another 10 years to life. That's my arm. You don't get it.
If you want to eat optimally to get disease, then yes.
Yeah, right. That too. Like, we're shown that when we as humans consume more plants and fewer animal products, we actually have healthier outcomes. But even if it was healthier to consume an animal, I would still advocate for that individual's right to live because they care about themselves just like we do.
It's the YouTube chat.
Yeah, make sure you're tapping like, hey, Jake,
It's causing harm to someone else, or if they're trying. It's causing harm to someone else, or if they're trying to. Because I mean, veganism is about the harm aspect of. I mean, obviously we're against harming unnecessarily for sure, but I mean, it's not about the harm, aspect. It's about the exploitation and the use unfairly of these animals and just sentient individuals.
Both. Like you're
Oh,
standing
in both. Okay, sorry. I
Yeah.
thought you said close. It's just about the use and the exploitation that comes along with it. So, I mean, by me using hand sanitizer to protect myself from getting, say, disease or of some kind or something, by killing off the bacteria, that is not me exploiting, another living being, but it's, again, sentience. And as far as I'm aware, bacteria is not sentient.
Okay, now.
But even if they were, again, it's, I don't feel any type of way about it as defending doing what you do. Like, I mean, if an animal comes up to you and is like attacking you or something, and your only option is to
Can you hear us now?
unalive them, I guess, then that can be justified. But do you need to consume their flesh? Do you need to consume their secretions? Do you need to buy their skin or demand that their lives are taken and from them and they're exploited so you can have a product from them off their bodies? Do you need to do that? We're not taking any requests, to join as guests. We're just live out here in Portland, Oregon, talking to people, or if they come up and want to talk to us.
How about now? Is it working now? Yes, the mic is connected. This happens with Rody now every time. I don't know why it doesn't want to work. Is it working now, or is it still really, really quiet? Is it better if I talk like this? Because your guys' microphone is actually this one this time, and TikTok is inside here. We're here in Portland, Oregon, in front of the Pioneer Place Mall. It's better. Yeah, so when I talk like this, how is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know what to say more. Better to the tiny mic. I don't know what that means.
I think it's better when you speak into that.
Well, yeah, but see, so that's you guys. This is just YouTube, and this is TikTok. You see what I'm doing? So I'm not going to talk to people like this. That's silly.
I mean, it seems to be working on you.
Yeah. So I think what's happening is this new mic, for some reason, some random time in the middle of the live, it's going to suddenly work. I don't know why. It did it last time too. It just suddenly the volume shot up real loud. Maybe if I don't know, it's going to kick me out. So hold on a second. Oh, it's good? It's fine now? Did it go up? Like if I was talking to you, hey, have you heard about veganism?
Yes,
Should you be vegan?
absolutely.
How long you been vegan?
Almost 2 years.
Wow, congratulations, that's awesome. Hear me fine, good, okay. We'll continue. I just want you guys, honestly, it's not really important that you hear us talking right now. It's more important you hear the conversations later. So this is really just to make sure that we have a clear audio the whole time. So back to the topic at hand, now that we've gone through all the tech issues. Those that are not vegan in the audience, put a 2 in the chat so we know who you are. Or at least if you feel comfortable telling us, that are curious. Non-vegans that are curious about veganism, put a 2. If you're vegan, put a 1.
Someone said a baby born into a permanent coma isn't sentient either. Why is it okay to eat plants but not them? I mean, that's a completely different situation, and considering we have to eat something, right? Why not choose the least, oh my God.
Oh gosh, that was funny. That sound.
Why not choose, why choose to harm sentient individuals as opposed to non-sentient individuals? And again, that baby in the coma, I mean, we're not going to be, or sure, they're not sentient, but I mean, we wouldn't harm them, but I mean, obviously we have to eat something. I don't know if I'm explaining it the best, but.
Oh, okay, I honestly, because I was so focused on the tech stuff, I didn't know what question it was you were answering.
They just had said that like babies in comas aren't sentient, so.
Oh, yes they are. If they have brain activity, they're sentient. They're still experiencing life. If someone is not sentient, then we still have respect for their family, right? Honestly, it's kind of weird that we see an animal that's passed away and think, lunch, because they are similar to a baby in a coma, right? You don't need to eat an animal that has even already keeled over. You can just eat plants, fungi, and seaweed.
Right, and why would I harm that baby? What purpose would that serve? Like I said, obviously we need to eat something, right? And considering that, why choose to harm clearly sentient individuals
Yeah.
who
Why?
have
Why?
intelligence and are aware and can feel pain, fear, and suffering, versus life that isn't sentient and that doesn't feel pain, fear, or suffering, or isn't having a subjective experience? Why would you choose to harm sentient life versus non-sentient life when you have the option?
How is it different? Both are not sentient. There's no harm then, right? No, you shouldn't. I don't know why you think that someone in a coma isn't sentient. Like if they're brain dead, that's another thing. I think it's weird, I guess, if you want to do that. I think that the reason why we still have laws against it would be probably because normalizing a human or eating a human body normalizes the idea that others are here for you. And some people may not want to wait till someone naturally keels over to try tasting that. So that's probably more along those lines, is that it just, feels gross. I don't know if there's really a logical reason if someone is truly not sentient.
Well, again, there's no purpose to doing that. Like, what would be the purpose of me
Right.
harming a
Exact-
brain or
There's no purpose, just like there's no purpose to do it to animals.
exactly? Like, again, like I said, we have to eat something clearly, otherwise we just die, obviously. So, if we have that option, why not choose life that?
We're not about harm. It's not about harm reduction. We're here against exploitation, using someone unfairly for your benefit. We're not here against all harm in the world. It's similar to like racism. Just because there's going to be racist people in the world, racist actions happening in the world, that doesn't mean you have a license to be racist to people, right? You are still responsible for your actions, and it's a principled thing to not be racist. Just like it is to respect other animals regardless of their difference in species. So let's get another reading on the room again. If you're vegan, put a 1. Awesome vegans. If you're not vegan but curious and just kind of checking out, seeing what's going on, put a 2. And if you're not vegan and just here to be, mean, put a 3. Yas. Hey, what's up, my vegans? Vegan heretic. I see you.
We're not shaming anybody. Someone said we're shaming people. We haven't shamed anybody. We're hoping people understand, the choices or the consequences of their choices, and we're trying to get them to understand that, and that we don't need to use these animals. But we're not out here shaming anybody. And again, like if someone feels that they're being shamed, they can always walk away. You can leave this live. So,
Jacko, calm down. If you don't stop spamming the chat, I'm gonna bump you. I already told you we're not here about harm. We're here against exploitation. And you're actually pointing out the whole point. Yeah, someone is going to feel harm. That happens in the world, right? That doesn't matter. Even if you could exploit someone completely painlessly, that doesn't make that okay. You're using them unfairly for your benefit.
someone says if plants are sentient, you will not give them the same value as an animal. Even if plants were sentient, we'd still be harming exploiting and harming, even though I know veganism isn't about harm, but just in general, we'd be harming less of them. If we were to just eat plants directly, which sounds counterintuitive, but think about all the land and the amount of plants we grow to feed I'm not sure the exact number, what is it, 90 something billion? 92 billion land animals into existence every single year. So if we were to just obviously stop farming the animals as well as clearing land to feed these animals, we'd cut out 2/3 of technically our land use, and we just have to grow plants for human consumption. So we'd be farming far less plants anyways. So if they are sentient, at least we can choose to harm them the least amount or exploit them the least amount, right?
Yeah, and we can improve how we grow crops. We can actually eliminate crop deaths altogether. You cannot remove the exploitation of demanding someone's flesh, their babies, their labor, their body, their skin, their fur, their feathers, scales, etc. There's just no right way to use someone without their consent. So, again, those that put a 2 in the chat, Can you tell us why you are not, what's holding you back from living a life respecting animals? Now that you know that it's just about not using others the way you don't want to be used, like you want your consent and best interest to be considered, right? What's stopping you from giving that same respect to others that also experience life?
This baby has no fan. These comments are
Where is he?
ridiculous. I mean,
Where is he? Where is he?
It's not this.
This guy?
Yeah. There's
You
no.
guys, you have 2 accounts? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so you guys, it's not about harm reduction. Just because there's an unconscious baby next to you, I don't know why you're so focused on using them, right? I'm not saying if someone physically feels. I'm saying someone who is experiencing life. That's what sentience means. It doesn't mean to physically feel. It means to experience life. And often to make a preference on that. So you're having an experience, you decide if that was comfortable or not. You move away from discomfort, move towards comfort.
Someone said the taste is the main thing that's stopping me, and I think you just have to ask yourself, like, what's more important to you? Like, and I don't mean this to come across as like me being aggressive towards you, but like, what like genuinely do you find more important? Do you find the taste, the sensory pleasure you'll get from consuming these products, or do you find, an animal's life to be worth more? Like, do you think it's more important that these animals aren't bred into existence into a life of exploitation, or do you think, taste is more important than that? So that's just kind of a question you have to ask yourself, and maybe it would also help to even see what these animals go through. That's where obviously you can watch documentaries like Dominion and see the whole process and everything of what these animals go through. But again, you just have to ask, like, it's just about like, what would you find more important? And if you were in the victim's shoes, like, how would you want people to, or what would you want people to do? Would you want them to use that kind of as an excuse, like, oh, taste, it's too tasty to give up, or would you want them to stop altogether, right? And again, you don't have to give up taste, becoming vegan, right? I mean, there's tons of vegan foods. Sure, there's vegan foods that don't taste good, but I mean, there's also a lot of non-vegan foods that don't taste good. So I mean, it's like tit for tat, right? I mean, it's just about finding what you think tastes good and making meals that taste good. There's tons of recipes online you can find. You can make any alternative to any non-vegan food you can think of. There's vegan pizza, mac and cheese. I had vegan pizza last night. Burgers, chicken nuggets, ice cream, donuts, whatever you can think of, there's a vegan alternative.
Sentience, Andy. It's sentience. So this person has so far now 4 accounts, and they're spending all their time coming after us. That means they like us a lot and they know that we're right. And they're actually so offended that they're going to try to pull down this live, and they want to hurt us the way that they're hurting because they know that they shouldn't be using animals. They keep going to this stupid sentience baby thing, and it's just not going to work.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Again, it doesn't even make sense. You're just literally babbling, right? You're just babbling. Why would you compare it? Why? I don't understand why you're saying you want to eat this baby. Are you in survival mode? Then don't do it. Honestly, I don't even advocate for people to eat clams. They're not even 100% sure to be sentient, but there might be, right? That's what matters. And if you have the option, or you can go without, right, then exploiting someone is wrong. It's immoral. That's all we're trying to say.
Yeah. Sorry, there was also a comment that said, I had an Impossible burger and I find it to be lacking. Well, I mean, there's like so many other options for plant-based burgers you can try, and also you can just make your own. There's recipes out there that can teach you how to make your own if you don't like any of the store-bought options. So I mean, like, and again, like even if it wasn't as good as a regular hamburger, is that really an excuse to force an animal to be bred into existence to live a life of exploitation and suffering when you have no reason to? So like, I mean, like, even if the 10% difference in taste or whatever it is was there and will always be there, there's no way to truly make a plant-based alternative that tastes quite as good. It still doesn't justify it. I mean,
To be clear, it's not just about that suffering. It's about exploiting someone, using someone unfairly, right? That's why like child labor is illegal, even though children may not fully understand, right? They may not be crying about it. They may be excited that they might get some kind of money, in fact, right? But that is still wrong because you're exploiting someone vulnerable who doesn't fully understand. That's the issue. You're stealing from someone. You're
Right.
just tricking them.
Right. I say suffering just, I guess, kind of like emphasize.
Oh no, it's
but-
most of it, if not 100% of it, is suffering. But to the point, even if you could magically do it without suffering,
Right. Yeah.
I still wouldn't want to trade places with those animals, whatever you're doing to them.
Yeah, that's the entire idea. Even if there's no suffering involved, it doesn't matter. It's the idea that these animals are here for our use and for us to use as a resource
Dude,
for
seriously?
whatever reason. That's the whole thing, we're trying to get across. It's like we shouldn't be viewing these animals as a resource for us to use, because we'd never accept this for a human, like to use as a resource, or like even if they weren't being harmed, like I could use let's say I had a kid and I could use them to do chores and make them do all the house chores or something, and maybe they aren't being technically harmed in that way, but I could be exploiting them. And it's the idea that like I'm using them for my benefit when I don't need to, right?
Yeah,
and these animals,
exactly.
They exist not for me, not for Anna, not for any of you. They exist for themselves and themselves alone. So that's, yeah.
So again, it's not about the suffering, as we've thoroughly gone over, because I keep seeing those comments. It's not about suffering. It's about exploitation. It's about using someone unfairly. There was a time when we were exploiting other fellow humans, right? And there were some that enslaved those humans in a nice way. There was a nice slave owner. Is that liberation? Is that really freedom for those that were being enslaved? No. It's the same thing when it comes to other animals. And I saw someone asking about, oh, I want a dog right now. Should I wait till dogs can talk? No. What you can do is, if you have the resources to give someone a rich life, do so, right? But don't expect anything in return. Maybe a relationship will blossom out of that. That's beautiful. But don't force anything on them, right? It's great that you want to help somebody. That's fantastic and should be admired. So just to be clear, it's not about you. It's about them.
Someone said, please justify your use of AI in every single video thumbnail. What do we have to justify?
I can take that. I can take
I
that.
was going to say, what's there to...
You're going to ask the same question. Like, what's your issue with AI?
Or what's there to justify?
What does this have to do with your choices and using animals?
Guys, we're not taking... Oh, are they requesting? I can't tell.
No, it's just saying invite this person.
Oh, okay.
They're suggesting so that you're interacting with, because that's usually what TikTok is for, is to bring up people.
Yeah, I was
So that's
confused.
okay.
I didn't know if people were trying to
No,
request
but
that.
they are. That one right there says that they are.
Gotcha.
But we're not taking your requests because we're talking to people face to face. We are talking to you through the chat, but until we get that first conversation face to face, we're just talking to you.
Right, we're not, and just to clarify, we aren't taking any guests up. We're live. This is just what we're doing live. If you want to come up and talk to us, Anna goes live on Monday typically.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Maybe Fridays.
sometimes.
Sometimes you go live on Fridays, and sometimes I join in. So
Yeah.
if you want to talk to one of us, then wait for that, and then. But this is the live.
You can
so.
be pro-life and vegan. Veganism goes across all political spectrums. So my group even itself is made up of a diverse thought on that process, or on that subject, I should say. So it's kind of pointless to shout it at us because has nothing to do with exploiting others.
Animals would not overbreed. They said animals would overbreed and spread diseases into soil growing vegan food.
So are humans.
Well, humans obviously are extremely overpopulated, but animals wouldn't overbreed. We're the one controlling these animals' population sizes, and actually, if we stopped, obviously, the size or the population of these animals would go down, right? And we'd actually be able to rewild a lot of species that are currently facing extinction because of animal agriculture, but they wouldn't overbreed, no.
Yeah.
Because we're the one, again, controlling their population sizes, and animals aren't just going to magically, produce, I don't know, the same amount of animals that they have now. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, again, I see the medical procedure coming up again has nothing to do with exploitation. And if it's not you currently going through it, it really is none of your business, right?
Someone said, how would we decrease animal population? And that's by not bringing them into existence to exploit them. So the lower the demand for these products and whatnot, whether that be food or clothing, that demand will go down, and these animals won't be bred into existence. We won't have 90 plus billion land animals being bred into existence every single year. So.
Yeah. So real quick, I'm going to run through it. We're here in Portland, Oregon, in front of the Pioneer Place Mall. You can hear all the trams going around. Daniel, what's up? Daniel Broccoli. Oh, make sure your stuff isn't on the bricks. They'll yell at us. But you're welcome to press up on all of our things there. Oops, I just bumped the camera. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, the homeless people can set up a tent.
Yeah, I know. Well, the mall itself says that we can't touch those bricks. Yeah, exactly. There's a particular bodyguard that comes out and likes to puff out his chest at us, so trying to, oh, don't worry, I got it. Oh, no, you're so great. Hi. Hey, everyone. Do you guys want to say hello?
Say hello. Hey, Anna.
Hey,
What's up, chat?
Make sure you're in both. This is YouTube.
Oh, I see.
This is TikTok.
Fancy. What is up, you guys? My name is Daniel Broccoli. I've been vegan for 8 years as of July. So almost 8 years. Ethical. How long have you been vegan?
10 months.
She said 10 months. 10 months vegan.
I've been vegan for 4 years.
Right on.
I don't know what you
Yeah,
wanna
we're gonna
do.
get situated.
Yes! Yay! Thank you guys for being here. So good to see you. Yes!
Hi, Allison.
Yes!
Hi, friends. Hi,
Girl,
vegans.
Daniel.
Hi, non-vegans.
I would touch you. My hands are so cold, though. Hi, sweetie. And there's also, you saw there's hand sanitizer, so if you need, I'm sure you have some too, though. Okay, cool.
Right.
All right, how you guys doing in here?
They want to join, or I'll keep talking. But did you guys want to hop in?
They
or-
want to get situated first.
I'm gonna hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, kind of warm up.
Yeah, I'll keep talking.
When you feel ready, you just jump right in if you wish. Ah, yes. Jake said broccoli.
What's up, Jake?
Yeah, he says.
Hey, Jake.
What's up? He doesn't give a crap about you. He cares about his veganism. What? I mean, if you're not vegan and you're with a vegan man and he chooses veganism, that might say that he just doesn't want you to abuse animals. Maybe he still cares about you, but it's hard to watch you do that.
Morals are attractive.
Yes, exactly. Morals are attractive. Consent is sexy.
Coworker said that yesterday.
Yeah.
Consent is sexy.
It is.
We
Do
do
love
good consent.
good consent.
Alrighty.
Ready, test him out.
Okay. So let's run over it real quick. Veganism is an ethical stance against the exploitation of other sentient beings. I don't want to demand someone else be unfairly used for me if I can avoid demanding it. That's it. That's all it is. Would I want to trade places with them? Would I want to be used for someone else? No. Do I want my consent disregarded and my best interest not really cared for? No. I want to be respected as the sentient being I am. The other animals deserve the same. It's not about feeling. It's about experiencing life. And we experience life.
Someone said, "Why are vegans fascist?" So
Is it fascist to be against racism?
I was going to say advocating for bodily autonomy and the right to not be needlessly exploited is fascism. That's a bit of a strange take. I'd imagine you'd be against racism or I guess anti-women's rights or you'd be for women's rights or
Is being against fascism fascism? What a funny thing to say. I don't know where the word slave comes from, but we're definitely implementing what it means to sentient beings, which is not fair. And if you demand that happens, you can remove that. You can opt out by living vegan.
right. And I mean, we are actively advocating against slavery because I mean, what we do, we are enslaving these animals, right, to do for our benefit, right? They don't get a say. They don't get any bodily autonomy. We control every aspect of their life. So yeah, I mean, we're essentially enslaving these animals. So if you're against slavery, which anybody should be, you should be vegan.
Yeah. Make sure you're tapping that screen, sharing, liking. We're in beautiful Portland, Oregon, in front of the Pioneer Place Mall. We're hoping to get a conversation. We've got a really solid group here today. I'm really excited to see so many people. We're missing Elvin. We miss you. And Minx. Oh.
Yeah, bummer.
Yeah. I think we had someone else join the group. I can't remember their name right now.
Was
But
it Luke's friend?
oh yes, that's right. Yes, it was the person that Luke met. Sorry, I can't talk. Anyway, So most of us are here, not everybody. What's up, Lori? I see you. Thank you for being here, Lori. So everyone that's in here, make sure you're tapping, liking, sharing. If you can, participate in the chat. If you're a vegan, put a 1 in the chat. Spam green hearts. Yeah, that's what the vegans can do. If you're not vegan, put a 2. And, curious. Not vegan and curious, put a 2. And if you're just not vegan and a butt, put a 3.
Someone said, "Are you people grass-fed?" And I mean, yes, I literally am, because that's my name.
Yeah.
On or my social media name is grass-fed human. So yes, I am grass-fed. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we all eat grass. Wheat is a grass, rice is a grass. A lot of grains are grasses. So, yeah, a lot of food that we eat is grass. So is it for you. It's just about removing the exploitation, removing the demanding of someone's flesh, their body, their secretions, their babies, their skirt, their furs, their skin, etc. Being tested on. Don't buy cosmetics that demand that they be shoved into their eyes or down their throats till they pass away. Don't go to the circus or the zoo.
Someone said volume.
Yeah, I know it's kind of quiet. I don't know how to improve that. It's like I can talk like this, but
It's kind of a loud area too, so I don't know if that has anything to do with like interfering. I don't know. But is it like how bad for anybody in the chat? Like how bad is it? Like if me getting this close, like can you really not hear me, or is it better when like we're?
well, can you hold this for a second? I'm gonna do something. You're both gonna go away for a moment. Back, okay. Try that. Might not hear as well. I'm sorry, TikTok. How's that? Is that better? Can you hear me now? Now you broke it. Yeah, exactly. Big Nick, you teasing me.
Someone said it's better closer, but I don't know how it is now. Is it better like if like I'm this far away? Can you hear me, or is it hard?
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Is it better? It's better. You can't tell. Sound great. Okay, still good for TikTok. Maybe it is just in general YouTube. It's fine. Sabby says it's fine. I trust Sabby's opinion. If I stand back here, does it sound at all bad? What was that? Oh, I'm sorry. It's because we're running out, so I need to get more. There you go.
Someone said you'll never see a jacked natural vegan, and that is blatantly false.
Patrick
look up-
Baboumian.
I was gonna say him. You can look up Brian Turner on Instagram. Does he have TikTok? I'm not sure.
He might.
He might. You can try it. Probably maybe even YouTube. Hench herbivore. All vegan, all natural, all jacked.
Tori Washington actually just made a video recently. I can't remember who he is. I want to say vegan linked. He doesn't even use protein powders, and he's like, he goes up on stages and such. I don't remember what he's accomplished, but he is very well known. Tori Washington, go look him up. He's also a coach. He could offer to help you out. I know that also Brian Turner's a coach, and Hench Herbivore is also a coach. So you can sign up for their program.
And there's that Chip guy. He doesn't focus on bodybuilding. That's not like his main thing. But I mean, he's a big guy. He's pretty jacked. Danny Ishay on Instagram and TikTok, also jacked.
Yeah.
He used to go by Lifting Vegan Logic. Actually, that was his name, but not anymore. But yeah, he's pretty jacked, I'd say. Got a decent physique. So
Yeah, there's plenty. You can be any body type you want to be and be vegan. You can be fat and vegan, be skinny and vegan. You can be really buff and vegan. Whatever. It's up to you what you want to do. It's more than just what you eat, right? It's about your habits. But what we're saying is you can have any body type without demanding someone be exploited for you. You can get all the needed things you need. Nimai Delgado is a great example. What?
someone said vegans are directly linked to the #1 cause of racism and slavery.
It's actually the reverse, because when you say it's okay to use animals, you're saying it's okay to use some arbitrary trait like race, gender, sexual orientation, right? Species, intelligence, right? You're using arbitrary traits to justify exploiting, using someone for your benefit. The logic is no different than a racist or even a rapist, right? You're now demeaning your victim to not feel so that you feel better about getting pleasure from their body without their consent. Do you see like what you're doing? The oppressors only oppress to gain benefits, right? It's time to ask the victim, what do they want? What do they prefer? Okay, someone talking to somebody else. Vegans are not racist. I would say vegans are quite the opposite. There are some vegans I think are a little mixed up in the head. We're of all different groups, right? It does go across different political spectrums, but that doesn't mean that racists or that vegans are racist. It just means that there's some people that haven't really fully thought about why we respect each other.
I think this person's just trolling, to be honest.
I agree, but I mean, it's just something that does come up, and it's not about. Yes, the sign says, "Come talk to me. I'm doing a social experiment." And the other side, oh, you're just showing the one side? Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I don't know if you're actually using that one. It says, which one would you choose? The only thing that I have a problem with this sign is that people will just shout out the answer and then they run away. Yeah. And it's like, no, wait. But I mean, at least you get an answer from them.
Yeah.
But I don't think they have any epiphany of like, oh, I chose one or the other.
Right. And I feel like there's another question of a lot of people who are thinking, well, could I save both? Or I would want to save both. And we want to start the conversation there because we don't have to exploit dogs, nor do we have to exploit pigs. And in a world where we don't have to exploit either, how would we justify doing it?
Yeah. Do you want to jump in?
Sure.
Awesome. I'll take your time. Okay.
Someone said the world would starve if we went vegan, and that is just blatantly false. We'd have more than enough, or we'd at least have more food to feed more of the population shifting towards a plant-based diet. I mean, because think about it, we breed 90 plus billion land animals into existence every single year, and we got to feed them something, right? That being plants. So if we're able to feed this many animals each and every single year, and the population of humans is what, like 9 billion? I don't know. Approaching 9 billion. It's pretty common sense that we'd be able to feed, the population using just plants on the plant-based diet. So
we'd use far fewer plants overall.
Right, exactly. We'd use far fewer plants, but we'd easily be able to, feed people shifting towards a plant-based diet. We wouldn't have, the issues that we're in right now. So yeah, I mean, that's just not true.
Somebody says, what about animals that eat other animals? So animals like bears or wolves or tigers, they require the flesh of other animals. They have to kill other animals in order to survive. But the folks in this chat and the humans who we're trying to address, they have another option. When you walk into the grocery store, you can choose to pick up the tempeh or the mock meat or the bag of beans or the tofu instead of the animal flesh. Or when you're looking to have a fun weekend with your family, you can choose to watch a nature documentary rather than attend the zoo or the rodeo or the aquarium. Or when you're going to look for some new clothes, you can thrift rather than participate in the capitalist society of overconsumption, and you can choose to thrift materials like hemp and cotton and bamboo rather than leather and wool and silk. Since we have these alternatives, why not exercise our choice to oppose the exploitation of our fellow earthlings? Let's open up that discussion.
Going back, they said, it is true, you are wrong. We would not sustain on vegetables. And I just think it's funny. I mean, do you really think that's all we eat? Like, I mean, there's so many plant-based foods that are not just vegetables. The breads, rice, legumes, pasta, beans, like these aren't vegetables, right? I mean, you think we just sit around and eat celery all day? Like, I mean, come on, be like realistic. We don't just eat vegetables every day. There's tons of foods with tons of variety. Get all your nutrients you need, protein, fats, healthy fats, carbohydrates, it's all there with plant-based food, so.
Saw somebody ask a while back, so do you think owning pets is immoral? Yes, in the sense that owning another being isn't acknowledging their individuality. When I rescue a dog or a cat from a shelter, I'm seeing them as somebody rather than something to own, and I take their best interests into account. I wouldn't support a breeder because right now, so many dogs are being killed every year because they're seen as undesirable in shelters. And even if that wasn't the case, I don't think it's fair to birth dogs or cats or any other domesticated animal into existence for our purposes. But if you have rescued one of these individuals and you're providing them a good home when they already exist, I don't see an ethical issue with that. And I think that is in alignment with a vegan ethic.
Right. I mean, that's all veganism is like, I mean, obviously we talk a lot about suffering because we're causing tremendous, unimaginable amounts of suffering to billions and billions of sentient individuals each and every single year. But the whole idea is just the rejection of animal use, which is why our group name is anti-animal use. I don't know.
Somebody said a while back, with data centers going up locally in Oregon, aren't there more important local things to be speaking about? I think that's what you meant. You didn't quite say that exactly. But we can care about multiple things at once. We can oppose the placement of AI data centers in marginalized communities, and we can oppose the way that some data centers are using up all of our resources, while also opposing animal agriculture in the way that it uses way more resources than any data center ever could. We have to remember that animal agriculture, the exploitation of our fellow animal relatives, is the worst resource user. It's the biggest user of water, of land on the planet. So we can oppose both. We should oppose all of it. Somebody says you can oppose anything you want. We understand that. Most of the folks who we're talking to in person and in the chat oppose some oppression, right? They may oppose, for instance, hatred and bigotry towards queer people, or they might be a feminist. And we're just asking, why not consistently expand our liberatory scope to include our fellow animals that we share the planet with? What do you think? Somebody says only because you're in America you can oppose those things. There are feminists all over the globe, there are anti-racists all over the globe, and there are vegans all over the globe. Veganism is a principle against animal exploitation. It's not a diet, so there's no barrier for anybody to live a vegan ethic. It just means making the choices available to you when you have them to oppose this injustice, to boycott animals being exploited on your behalf. There's vegans all over the globe. Don't spread misinformation.
Someone said before modern dentistry, humans would die subsisting on vegan diets. This is an inarguable fact. Okay, if that's true, then please provide evidence for that, because I have a strong feeling that is...
Yeah. What about a whole foods plant-based diet requires dentistry that consuming animal flesh doesn't? Further elaborate your point, because it doesn't make a lot of sense right now. Let's see. I'm going to ask everybody in the TikTok live and the YouTube live to double tap the screen, share the live if you can. For anybody curious what's happening and where we are, we're here in Portland, Oregon at Pioneer Place Mall, and we're having discussions with y'all in the chat, as well as folks in public who are feeling willing to come on camera about animal ethics. We're asking you, is it ethical to exploit our fellow earthlings when we have another option in 2026? What do you think?
That Chip guy joined. He said, hey, so hey, Chip, thanks for joining.
Thank you to the vegans. Thank you to the mods. Thanks. Thank you. Somebody says, if everybody was vegetarian, who would take care of all the animals? So if humans decided that they didn't want to exploit animals for their flesh or secretions, we could move any animals who are already existing into sanctuaries. There are people like us who are willing to do that work, to let these animals be free and live out their life free from exploitation and oppression. Will you hold this for a minute?
Yeah. What do you think about buying animal protein from regenerative and sustainable local farms? I would say, don't do it. Obviously, when we talk about veganism, there is environmental aspects that come up, but the whole idea is the what's the word I'm looking for? The rejection of the rejection of animal use, right? So even in these regenerative and quote unquote sustainable local farms, you're still viewing an animal as a resource and an object for you to use and exploit. And if we don't need to, then, why would we? But also, it's just about basic respect and respecting one's bodily autonomy and just them as an individual, right? Most of us, would respect a dog or a cat and enough to not farm them and consume them. Then why is it any different for these other animals? And obviously we still use dogs and cats in other ways that are exploitative, but that's just, a point I was making. But it's just the idea that we're rejecting basically animal use, right? They exist for themselves. These animals, these individuals do. They don't exist for me, for
Anybody.
Cooper, for anybody, any of you watching. They don't exist for anybody to use. They're their own individuals, and they exist for them and them alone. So
Somebody says they rehearse these arguments and have them ready to go, which is why some of us are ignored. The reason why some messages don't get addressed or some arguments aren't fully addressed is because there is almost 100 people across YouTube and TikTok in the room. So if you find your point not addressed, just leave it again. We'll be happy to get to all the points. Somebody says chickens wouldn't exist in the wild. And does somebody not existing in the wild justify breeding them into existence in order to commodify them and objectify them and exploit them? Let's say I was the last human here on Earth, and there wouldn't be any humans in the wild unless you exploited me and sexually abused me and forced me to procreate. That still wouldn't justify stealing all of my bodily autonomy. Somebody says they love chicken. So we do love the animals in general. Maybe there's a particular individual chicken who might not like me, but in general, we support the birds being free from exploitation. If you're talking about chicken's flesh and that you get satisfaction from consuming it, I want to ask you to envision a scale. On one side, you have a bird's life of suffering and their killing. And on the other end, you have your pleasure, temporary pleasure on your tongue. What do you value more as a person? Let's hear it. Somebody says, any personal opinions on lab-grown meat? So we don't support waiting to make a change until lab-grown meat is available because we have everything we need from plants only. So there's no reason to delay justice for our fellow earthlings today. It could be useful, lab-grown flesh, in the sense that there are some animals who've been exploited in the pet trade, such as snakes, who do require flesh to thrive. It may be a useful tool for them, but for us as humans, it's completely unnecessary and always will be.
Someone said any free-range life is better than none, therefore them being bred into existence is beneficial. And so, okay, let me pose this question. So if I have, or just breed a human into existence, let's say, and I give them, a comfortable life, I guess. I give them space to roam around. I give them, a bed, shelter, a TV that they can use. Right, they're living a great life, but I'm also using them. I'm gonna farm them, or I'm exploiting them for, I don't know, something maybe that comes from their bodies. This is just a hypothetical scenario, but that's still exploitation, and you'd still argue that's wrong, right? Like farming humans, even if you give them a great life, and there's not much suffering involved, so to speak, like you're still exploiting them, and you'd still, I'd assume, argue that's wrong or that's not okay. So why is it okay to do it to these other animals,
right,
when we also don't have any reason to?
Yeah, what's the difference between me, a human, and the other animals that makes it okay to exploit those animals, but not myself, a human animal?
Right, or yeah, exactly. They said, I understand the link, but wouldn't equate the human existence to animals, and then why is that? Or what at least is the morally relevant difference in your mind that justifies doing it to these animals but not doing it to a human? What makes it wrong to do it to a human but okay to do it to an animal?
Somebody says vegan brands still test on animals. This is an unfortunate reality. While it should be the case that if a company markets themselves as vegan, they should also be not testing on animals, you do have to look for products that are both vegan and cruelty-free if you want to oppose animal testing and also not have animal byproducts within this product. So you can find both, and we should. You're good.
Right, and also there's also brands that are cruelty-free but have products that do contain some animal byproducts. So I mean, again, it's just making sure that the cosmetics you're buying, just obviously make sure the brand is cruelty-free, as well as just make sure the product you're buying doesn't contain any animal-derived ingredients.
Vegan Peace says they're plant-based, not vegan. Yeah, the products that are tested on animals, I call into question whether we should be able to label them vegan because they are involved in animal exploitation. So they are more apt to call them plant-based. I agree. Somebody says vegan meat substitutes. What's your point? What about vegan meat substitutes? Elaborate. Leave another comment in the chat. I want to ask everybody here to leave your response to the following prompt. What is the ethical justification for exploiting other animals in 2026 when we have another option?
Empathy aspect, veganism makes sense, but do you think people will not be lacking health eating vegan? Absolutely not. You can be an unhealthy vegan for sure, but you can also be an incredibly healthy vegan, and this is backed up by plenty of data, scientific data. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, we cite this often, but they're the largest group of nutrition experts on the planet. They agree that a well-planned plant-based diet is healthy at all stages of life. This is also backed by the American Dietetic Association, the British Dietetic Association. They all agree, well-planned plant-based diets, just like any well-planned diet, vegan or non-vegan, you can be healthy on. And like, sure, you can be healthy eating animal products. Like, I won't deny that. But if you can be healthy without exploiting animals, why not opt for that versus
that's what it means to be an omnivore. Like, it means you can be healthy while exploiting animals, but also without it. So if we have a choice and we have an option to opt out or boycott our fellow earthlings being exploited on our behalf, why would we continue contributing to that system of violence? Why would we continue participating? What do you think? Somebody says, would you eat vegetables? Animals are killed. So this is the crop deaths argument, and I want to draw attention here to the fact that most crops that are grown are fed to the animals that humans exploit for their flesh and secretions. If we wanted to minimize crop farming overall, the first step is to transition to a more efficient plant-only food system. By the law of thermodynamics, if you look at the trophic pyramid, animals, the further you go up on that chain, they lose energy. They're burning it off consistently. So if we can position ourselves as primary consumers, animals who only consume plants, it will always be more efficient from a resource perspective. So if we're using more plants by consuming them directly, there will also be fewer crop deaths from a plant-only food system. And at the same moment that we are shifting towards plants, we can also implement what's called veganic farming practices, which involve challenging the use of pesticides and these different elements that protect crops, but challenging those because we want to consider those insects and we want to eliminate all of this harm if we can.
Someone said, I think eating meat can be good for us because it is rich in protein, which helps our bodies grow and build strong muscles. Meat also contains important vitamins and minerals such as iron. Same with plants. You can get plenty of protein eating just plants. There's plenty of great plant-based protein sources: tofu, tempeh, seitan, beans, lentils. There's pastas that have protein. Every food has protein, but I'm just listing out some of the higher protein sources, obviously. And again, like iron, you can eat your leafy greens, spinach, right? Has iron. You can get all the same nutrients that you can on a plant-based diet, and the only one that I guess you kind of should be checking, right, is B12. But again, you can get that in a supplement, but I know people are afraid to take a pill for whatever reason, or you can just get it through fortified foods such as nutritional yeast. There's fortified plant milks. Mm-hmm. It's really not that hard, and before people say, oh, well, that's fortified, da, 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 da. The meat you eat is fortified considering it's pumped full of these vitamins, right? These animals are injected with B12, for example. Animals will be injected with that vitamin, right? And that's where you're getting your B12 from, because animals don't naturally make B12. It comes from the soil and bacteria, which much of that has been destroyed because of animal agriculture destroying land and stuff. So anyways, point being that you can get all your nutrients on a plant-based diet. It just maybe requires some research, just like any well-planned diet requires. So there's no difference.
Somebody said all plant-based food is chemicals. I want to address this point. Everything is chemicals when you really break it down. But what do you mean in terms of being chemicals? Are you talking about kind of mock meats or processed foods? Because many vegans choose to eat a whole foods plant-based diet. This is foods like potatoes, grains, rice, beans, lentils, nuts, seeds, vegetables, fruits. And if you consume a variety of these, your body can thrive. So which of those are chemical-based? Or which of those do you oppose?
Oh, go ahead.
Somebody says, how many animals are killed each year from farming versus harvesting animals for food? So, harvesting animals for food, this is a euphemism, first of all. We're exploiting them for their flesh and secretions. But it's about 90 to 100 billion land animals every year and 2 to 3 trillion marine animals. And the biggest study we have on crop deaths, what you're talking about, is animals being accidentally killed in fields through growing crops. Remember, most of these crop deaths are happening to grow animal feed to feed to the animals, but still, let's just talk about the crop deaths. It's about 7 billion lives. That is the estimate that is most recent. So there's so much more exploitation and death happening from the direct exploitation, but we can also do our best with the crop deaths. We can switch to veganic farming practices, but you can't take the exploitation out of animal flesh and out of animal milks and out of animal eggs. It's baked in, it's inherent.
I want to cover this comment. Someone said if we don't eat flesh, the flesh will get wasted when they die and we eat their food. So, I mean, the less we demand, the less they're going to supply. So if more of us shifted towards the plant-based diet, veganism, the demand would go down and these animals wouldn't be bred into existence in the first place. So their numbers would go down and we wouldn't be wasting these animals. But even then, I mean, there's products that are wasted all the time, or I mean, animals aren't products, but I mean, that's just, there's stuff that's wasted all the time and that, you don't use. Does me being against, let's say there's an unethical company that I don't buy from, their products, I guess, are technically being wasted by me not buying them. Sure, maybe. But that doesn't make it right? Like, you're still paying for an animal to be exploited and unnecessarily killed when you don't need to, right? And that's the whole thing about it. These animals don't need to be exploited. We don't need to use them as a resource. So even if there's animals that, die for nothing and maybe their flesh goes to waste, it doesn't matter because, I mean, you don't...
It was all waste. It was all unnecessary.
Right. It was all unnecessary. And, you're still not viewing them as an object. Because, like, if I see flesh in the store, I don't view that as like, oh, if I don't eat this is wasted meat that I'm not eating. I view it as that was an individual that didn't want to die and that was exploited, had every aspect of their life controlled, and was ultimately killed unnecessarily for a product that is now sitting on the shelf. So, yeah.
We have a troll that keeps pasting in the YouTube comments, I would eat a human, but it's illegal. You sound like a danger to society. If the only thing preventing you from harming somebody, exploiting them, and stealing their life from them is a law, I'm genuinely concerned. You're confessing right now. I'm concerned.
Right. If your morality only stems from things, what's legal and not legal, then you might need to do some reflecting on that, because if that's really the route you want to take, then let's say slavery was still illegal here in the United States, then that means you'd be okay with that. You'd be okay with slavery because it's legal, right? So in your view, if it's legal, it's moral. So if slavery was legal,
right,
essentially you'd be okay with that.
The law doesn't dictate what's ethical. There was a time in the United States, and this is very harrowing, but it was not possible within the legal playbook for a husband to sexually assault his wife. It was considered not possible. They said it just wasn't possible. And that's unjust, even though it was the legal status of our country. Somebody says 42 days old when they are forced in houses of horrors. So this is an important point. Many people, when they think of birds who are used for their flesh, they don't understand that while they might have lived 5, maybe 10 plus years at a sanctuary where they're living their lifespan out, these birds are actually commodified and sent to the slaughterhouse at just 6 weeks old. That's 42 days old. Dogs have a similar lifespan of 5 to 10 plus years, right? Would you accept commodifying puppies, 42-day-old puppies, and sending them on crowded trucks to have their heads chopped off for a needless reason? And if you wouldn't accept it for the dog or the puppies, right, why do you accept it for the baby birds? Why do you accept it for the chickens? I just want to ask, what's the difference between a dog and a bird that justifies the exploitation of the bird but not the dog?
Right, and the reason that's even happening, I want to point out, is because we've selectively bred them to grow to slaughter weight in that short time frame. So these chickens' bodies are literally Frankenstein to grow so big, so quick. Then they're obviously sent into the slaughterhouse, and a lot of times they die on their way to the slaughterhouse or even before they're in the slaughterhouse due to being kept in these horrible conditions. They're in these, I guess, sheds, if you want to call them, that can house up to like 50,000 chickens. And essentially, if you were to look inside it, the whole floor is just like would be white, but that's all chickens. They have literally no room. Like you can't even see the actual ground beneath because there's just so many chickens crammed together. They live in their own feces. They get burns a lot of times. Their knees get burned.
This
their
is
feet
free
get burned.
range. This is free range what Nick is describing.
Yeah, exactly. And like these are the conditions they have to live in that we force them to endure simply because we want to go to the store and view them as a resource and turn them into products that we don't need and can otherwise get all the benefits from these products from other sources. So, I mean, is that really worth it? Like, seriously ask yourself, like, is that suffering and exploitation really worth me going to the store and buying this product versus me going to the store and having to move my hand to the right or to the left or whatever the plant-based option is? Like,
Does the consequences when you weigh it up, what matters more to you as a person? I want to ask everybody on YouTube and TikTok, respectively, to double tap that screen, share the live if you can, keep commenting. I want to ask the vegans to put a 1 in the chat. Vegans put a 1 or spam green hearts in the chats. Non-vegans who are curious and open-minded put a 2. Put a 2 in the chat. And the trolls put whatever you're going to put.
someone said it's natural for living things to die for others to feed. And yeah, that is true, but 2 questions. Because something's natural, does that automatically make it better? Because there's a lot of things that are natural. Disease, animals sometimes eat their young. They rape each other. These are natural things that happen in the wild, in nature, but obviously we can agree that these things aren't good. And we also do a lot of unnatural things. We're here, talking to you now. I'm sure you have a phone. Obviously you have a phone or some kind of device that you're typing this on. That's unnatural. Obviously something being natural isn't a measure. I forgot what their exact question was, but
the chat moves quick.
Yeah, I forgot what I had another point. I forgot what your exact question was. But anyways, just because something is natural doesn't mean it's better.
I want to ask y'all a question. What justifies exploiting other animals in 2026 when we don't need to? For anybody curious, we are here in Portland, Oregon at Pioneer Place Mall, and we're creating a space of reflection with y'all in the chat as well as with folks in person about animal ethics. We're just asking, is it ethical? Is it fair for us to exploit our fellow earthlings when we have another choice in 2026? What do you think? Somebody says chickens are meant to be eaten. Says who? There are some people who have determined that dogs are, quote, meant to be eaten, unquote. When they make that determination and they try to objectify dogs, is that justified? And if it's not justified to objectify the dog, how is it justified to objectify the bird? What's the difference?
Right. What if I said humans are meant to be eaten? What if I wanted to place that label on them? So I said they're meant to be eaten. Does that mean I can go and eat them? Or is that okay? Because that's the label I put on them, right? So
right. Like, let's say an alien species came down and they were a lot stronger and more intelligent and capable than us, and they decided humans are, quote, meant to be eaten, unquote. Would that justify them objectifying us, exploiting us, stealing our lives from us? I don't think so. Let's see. It's a somewhat nice day here in Portland. It's a little bit mixed. The clouds come in and start sprinkling every once in a while. But we're here at Pioneer Place Mall, and we're asking you about animal liberation. Most folks support liberation movements for women or for, just broadly, they support justice movements, right? But I want to ask you, why don't we expand our liberatory scope to include our fellow earthlings?
I'm good. I don't mind talking. It's kind of fun.
That's why you need to go live. You need to get this guy live. Let's get Grassfed going live so he can talk to us. Yeah, he's a great advocate.
But yeah, I'm kind of enjoying the talking, so I don't mind. Unless anybody else wants to join, then they can.
They'll walk up if they
swap out. Yeah, but
we know what to do. Yeah. So how's everyone going? So we're in Portland, Oregon, in front of the Pioneer Place Mall, and we're just trying to get some conversations. There's been some conversations had off camera, but we sadly haven't gotten anybody to join the on-camera conversation yet. So since I just jumped in, if you're vegan, put a 1 in the chat. Let's see how many of our friends we got in here. Put all those green hearts. We love all the hearts. Hey, Jen, good to see you. And then 2 if you're not vegan.
Someone said God said we can eat animals, or God made animals for us to eat. And I mean, I don't know what religion you subscribe to, so I guess this is kind of hard to answer. But I mean, like, I just want to ask, can you be vegan in your religion? Like, is that okay? Is that acceptable? Like, is there anywhere in your religion that states you can't be vegan? And then if not, because as far as I'm aware, I don't think there's any religion that requires you eat animal flesh or secretions. So if that's the case, do you think God would want you to harm his creatures, or cause them obviously suffering, but like exploit them and use them and treat them like objects? Do you think God would be okay with that?
Make sure you guys are liking, sharing, tapping. Appreciate you in the comments as well. Let's make sure we get some more people in here. We're anti-animal use, trying to talk to our neighbors and our fellow people about not exploiting each other and why we shouldn't exploit each other. Who deserves to be exploited, right? So I want to know, those that are not vegan in the chat, let us know why you aren't vegan, and we'll try to address it.
Why would God not want us to eat the others? Explain. Well, I mean, I don't know what religion you subscribe to. Assuming, let's say, Christianity, for example, I mean, God's perfect place, the Garden of Eden, was vegan, right? I mean, there was no suffering, there was no exploitation, there was no harm. Nobody ate each other. We all lived in peace and harmony until the fall. So, I mean, if that truly is God's perfect place, besides, I guess, heaven and the Garden of Eden, if those are God's 2 perfect places, those are both vegan. There's no harm, there's no exploitation, there's no suffering. So, I mean, if being on this earth, let's say, is a test by God, and you're trying not to live in sin, wouldn't you want to be as close to his perfect vision as you possibly can? So don't you think he's kind of testing you in a way to see, like, if in the face of temptation and choosing this versus choosing the way he intended and wants, like, why wouldn't you strive to choose to be as, I guess, I mean, nobody's compassionate and I guess not perfect, because nobody's perfect, but as close to his perfect paradise, or whatever you want to call it, as you can.
Yeah. Compassion means to see the suffering of someone and have a deep feeling to want to alleviate it. So, and if Jesus is the Prince of Compassion, then you should be able to recognize that there's someone suffering unnecessarily and that you have a great part in it. You can remove your support for it, and that actually makes a huge difference to a lot of individuals.
Yeah, and why would a all-loving, benevolent God create animals just to be exploited and suffer? Why would an all-loving God do that? Just ask yourself that. And if your God is all-loving and compassionate, don't you think he'd want you to make a more compassionate choice, if that's the case?
And even if your God says, no, I want you to butcher animals in the most horrific way possible, it doesn't matter what your authority figure says. It's about what the victim prefers, right? That it's their best interests that need to be considered first before the oppressors. So it doesn't matter what your authority figure says, it matters what the victim prefers. How would you feel if you were the victim? Would you rather that someone debate on whether their God wants them to be nice to you or not? Or would you rather they just, knowing that you care about yourself, respect you?
So it seems like you don't, this person...
One saying the echo chamber?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're coming in here telling us that we're in the echo chamber, you're still using animals. That's the norm. You're in the largest echo chamber, right? You don't even look into the science. The science says otherwise. Even though it's normalized, doesn't mean that it's actually what we need.
Right, you come in here and say blah, 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 and it's like calling us we're in an echo chamber. It's like, it sounds like you're in the echo chamber. It sounds like you don't want to listen. So, I mean, like, what is the point of you even being in this live if you're just going to come and just, not even listen? Like, I mean, what's the point? Or just not even listen to our points, or, I mean, I don't know. I just find it kind of funny if you're going to come in here and just, close your ears and not even listen to what we have to say, then, like, leave the live and, I don't know, go do something else with your time.
You can eat plants, fungi, and seaweed. They all have protein in them. If you're worried about getting everything you need, look up the vegan Dailey Dozen. Easy. So the whole point is always consider the victim. Regardless of any excuse you come up with, if you were the victim, would you tolerate that as the excuse, or would you prefer your oppressor take the effort to learn how to feed themselves, how to season alternatives, how to wear alternatives, how to find alternatives, right? Instead of always jumping to just using you. What would you prefer?
Right, and I want to also say, because there's so many comments about food, veganism isn't a diet or about food. It's just the ethical principle that we should live without exploiting animals and using them for any purpose or reasoning. It's just about rejecting animal use, right? That's obviously that's the name of the channel, anti-animal use, right? So if we have other options and we don't need to use another sentient individual, then I mean, like, why would we? I mean, like, really ask yourself. It's like, if you have a choice to cause or to pay for exploitation and versus not paying for exploitation, or then why would you? I mean, like genuinely, what is the point? And it's like, if you don't need to, then I just, why would you genuinely?
If you want to.
I can switch off since you just got here. I'll switch because I've been in here.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. So we're just answering questions. Ignore the trolls.
Okay.
Because they're just not worth giving oxygen
Sorry,
to.
trolls. You don't get any of my oxygen.
We'll take it if you were able to. I know the print is kind of small. Okay. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
I mean, my
Just so we can
eyes
see
are
both of you.
okay.
I know, right? You might have to lean in every once in a while.
See, like, what are you guys saying to me?
And if I'm moving the mic, please feel free to move it back to your
Hypocrisy
face.
of vegans is unreal. Well, I'm pretty sure you guys are the hypocrites. If you love animals and you're eating them, then that sounds pretty hypocritical to me.
Exactly. Veganism is a simple. Veganism is simple. Don't exploit sentient individuals. What do you disagree with here? Exactly. Thank you, Ian.
Don't eat steak. Yeah.
Oh, is that what you want?
It's shiny and pink.
Oh, I have here. Oh, I actually, let me see. I have the green stick. I was worried the foam might not be safe for her. Yeah. Get my hand. It's in here. Blindly grabbing. There we go. Oh, that's the black one. I got the colorful green one. I just can't see with my hand. Oh my gosh. There we go. That might be a little more fun to play with. That's about the most fun thing I have.
My baby gets proper nutrition because a vegan diet is safe for ages 0 to 100 and plus. All of the nutrients we need are found in plants. Please don't concern for my child because she's fine. She is happy, healthy, thriving, and well within average ranges. So please leave her out of this.
Yeah.
This is not about her. This is about people who are using and exploiting animals for their own benefit.
Yep. Oh, do you want me to hold this?
Yeah. Child abuse.
Yeah. How is it? Honestly, it's child abuse to feed children animal products, seeing as how studies show they increase chances of disease.
Yeah, I think it's also
personally.
child abuse to put baby animals in CAFOs and kill them at
Exactly.
under 2 years old.
Yes, precisely.
You're not a doctor, so please stop trying to
Diagnosing.
diagnose my child who you don't even really see that well.
Yeah, you guys, we have doctors for this. We don't need you to do that. We don't need you to diagnose anything. We want to know why you're not vegan. Why are you making the choice to keep demanding baby animals lose everything? Mommy animals lose everything, right? Please let us know in the comments. We'll try to address them.
Well, we're not here to talk about my kid, so
Yeah,
yes,
no.
she's on the camera with me, but I don't really ask for comments on her.
Yeah.
I'm here to talk about you
enjoying
guys.
life.
She's here with us because that's what happens when you have a kid.
Yeah, exactly. That's life. That's
I'm
part of
gonna
having a
bring
family.
her with me. I'm gonna bring her with me.
Exactly. She needs to see other people in the world and what's going on.
Please don't call her a brat.
Oh boy. Yeah, like I said, there's gonna be a lot of trolls. They like to say some really vulgar things
They
sometimes.
say some pretty vulgar things, that's for sure.
Yeah. So when it comes to somebody who is dependent on your care, right, you can't always get consent, but you can consider their best interests, right? So taking actions for them and their best interest is totally fine and what we should do as stewards.
I mean, even in the for any people who feel religious, God has commanded us to be stewards of animals, and that does not include killing them. I mean, if you're going to take care of somebody, then you really should be be taking care of them and not trying to hurt them.
It sounds to me that in the beginning, animals were meant to just be companions. We're supposed to just
We're
live
supposed
together.
to live with them. I mean, when you look at the most creation myths, I'm pretty sure there is like this harmony that's between animals and humans, and I think that's how we've always been meant to be here, because we're all inhabitants of planet Earth, and I think we should all be caring about what happens to planet Earth.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yep. And the biggest thing we can do, if, first we need to consider sentient beings' rights, but right below is obviously we need to care about the environment. And you look to, when we go to a vegan planet, we actually do both at the same time.
Yeah,
We stop
for sure.
exploiting, and we also have a green planet, healthier health outcomes for humans as well.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Someone asked if she's going to be vegan like me. We're raising her vegan, but when she's an adult and she can make her own decisions, she's more than welcome to choose whatever she wants.
But being brought up with the right,
Yeah, I mean, I know plenty of
principles,
people who were
I'm sure
raised vegan.
she'll make the right choice to not exploit. I
Sure.
almost
I
believe
think that
it.
she's a compassionate individual. I think all of us are born as compassionate, loving individuals, and I think we've been, affected by the world and desensitized by the horrors around us, and we've learned to say that this is okay just because everyone's doing it, but it's not.
Yeah.
Everyone was okay with slavery until they weren't. Everyone was okay with oppression on women until they weren't. We have a history of oppressing these people and oppressing these individuals, and it just because it's okay or it's illegal, it doesn't make it okay.
Yeah, exactly. Did you want to jump
What's
in?
up? Sure, yeah.
Awesome.
What are we doing?
Just answering questions.
Fighting off the trolls who are calling our child sick.
You're calling our child sick? Does she really look sick, dude? She's a healthy baby.
Very healthy baby.
If you think vegetables are all of a sudden not good for you, you might want to talk to the nutritionist, not the doctor. Yeah, it's funny that you guys care about babies because you're eating them.
Yeah, I already brought that up. Yeah, and they're praying for the baby. Thank you. Can you
Hey,
pray for the
Lambretta.
animals that you're eating? Because that would be really great.
Yeah.
Let them know where we're at, that we're in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah. So
Yep.
we're here in Portland, Oregon, over by Pioneer Square, and we're talking to people today about not exploiting animals because we don't need to. We don't need to eat them. It's not necessary for nutrition. You can survive on a plant-based diet. The people who have lived the longest in the world have eaten the most plants. Blue zones are 90 to 100% vegan.
That's right. How do you feel about animal abuse? How do you feel about people who kick dogs and skin cats and do stuff like that? How do you feel about animal abuse? There was a case that happened in Columbia County where I live, and basically there was a lady who was using horses to draw a carriage, and she ended up having it hooked up to her car, and she drove it through the streets for miles, and it didn't die, and it died a week later when she decided to bring it into the vet, and it was suffering. This is what happens when you commodify animals. To commodify means to turn someone into a something. Someone who has their own sentience, their own will. You take them and you turn them into an object, like a sandwich. But which is more valuable to you? The life of an animal or a sandwich? Or your taste bud pleasure more important than the animal's life? If you think animals deserve respect and you're paying for the animal products, then the blood is on your hands. Let's see, I eat horse. Wow, justifying a fallacy with another fallacy. Where's the fallacy? Is it that animals are sentient? Do you believe, here's my question for everyone in the chat. Do animals deserve moral consideration or not? Yes or no?
For TikTok and YouTube Live.
I love that you brought up Ecclesiastes. Maybe look into 419. Shoes are vegan, clothes are vegan, shirts vegan, all vegan everything. Here, I'll prove it.
Vegan everything. I hold it
Right here. All vegan everything. That's right. We don't have to be wearing skin. Skin is the flag of terror. Leather.
I saw earlier that someone was talking about our ancestors, what they ate. Well, our ancestors were in survival situations and they didn't have access to grocery stores and restaurants and options where they could get fully plant-based or vegan options because they were in survival. Yeah, there is a vegan strip club in Portland. Yep, Casa Diablo. There's actually about 50 vegan restaurants in Portland. Portland is I think it's like number 3 on the most vegan-friendly cities in the United States.
Show shoes, you're questioning our ethics because you'd like to talk about anything other than your victims. Do you know how those animals are killed? Oh, a little cougher.
Okay.
Do you know how the animals are killed? They're slaughtered in horrific ways. Every one of them meets a knife to the throat. Their jugulars are cut after they're stunned, ideally if they're stunned.
No, I've never heard a tomato scream, but I have heard a pig in a gas chamber.
That's right. They have thoughts, feelings, emotions. They value their life. Why is it okay to kill animals for food? It's not. We don't need to. It's 2026. We can be vegan easily.
And someone said animals kill other animals. Well, yeah, in the wild, because that's what they have to do to survive. You are here as a human being on this planet, and you go to grocery stores and you pick out food off of a shelf wrapped in cellophane and plastic wrap. That is not the same as a lion killing a gazelle on the desert. Okay, you can't be making those two comparisons. Please stop
asking.
asking.
Diet is extremely unhealthy. I want to clarify something for everyone in the chat. Vegan is not a diet. Vegan is a set of ethical principles. It's saying I'm not going to use animals for my own benefit, for my own profit or taste pleasure or entertainment, because it's wrong to use someone unfairly. You love bacon. Do you know that almost all pigs are killed in rotisserie style CO2 gas chambers? They scream to death. It's the most horrifying thing I've ever seen in my life. Yeah, maybe give up bacon if you don't like pigs screaming for their life in CO2 gas. That's horrific, man. What's wrong with people? I mean, how can you guys not even question this? I mean, how did they convince us? How did they manage to brainwash us that animals is totally okay to put them through mass slaughter or even individual?
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't want that to happen to you. You wouldn't want to be confined to a cage that you could barely turn around in. You wouldn't want to be raped against your will, forced to have a baby you didn't ask for, have that baby taken from you, and then forced for the rest of your life to produce milk for someone that is not even your own kin. I mean, we're not cows. Yeah, we may share similar traits and we're mammals with them, but we're not cows. We're not baby cows, and we don't need to drink cow's milk. It's not nutritionally necessary.
CO2 causes narcosis. They don't feel a thing. You're completely wrong. In fact, there's other gases they could kill them with that wouldn't have this effect. But CO2 is kind of like when you drink a can of soda and it fizzles up into your nose and burns times 100. It's so bad. If you want to learn more about how pigs are produced into commodified products, you should watch the film Pignorant.
Yeah, Pignorant is a great film to watch.
That's right, Pignorant, made by Joey Carbstrong. He's a legendary activist. And if you haven't seen how all the animals are killed, you want to know about the standard practices, take a screenshot right now. Take a screenshot of this and watch the film Dominion. This is going to show you the standard practice of how animals are slaughtered. It's horrific. That's why we're vegan. We're vegan for the animals. We don't want animals being stabbed for us.
I was also going to say, you can also go to antianimaluse.org and you can find tons of resources there as well as Dominion. And if you can't, or if you're skeptical about watching the whole thing, because obviously it is a lot to watch, you can watch at least a 3-minute version of it and see what you find. So,
yep, there's a 3-minute film on there. Antianimaluse.org. We have started this organization on our own. We're not getting paid. We're volunteers. We all come out here on our own accord. We try and speak to the public because we think that the core of this issue is that people believe animals can just be used, commodified, and we don't agree with that. We think that's wrong. You wouldn't want to do it. You're an animal as well, biologically a mammal. So why aren't you vegan? I don't know why people want to try and call us out for something. Maybe they just want to, they're projected, it's all. You know, I one time said I would never go vegan. I said I'll never give up cheese.
I said that as well.
Then I watched one film and my heart broke.
Yeah.
It was Forks Over Knives. You know, veganism is not about health. It's not about your longevity. It's not about your taste pleasure. Veganism is not about you. It's about the animals. And I'm praying that you go vegan for the animals. We're all praying that you go vegan for the animals, especially you who believe in a good God. Yeah.
Are you under the impression that most people don't know that the meat industry is cruel? Do you think the millionth photo of a cow carcass waved in their face is going to... Well, we're out here speaking to people live and talking to people because of that. You know, one picture isn't going to convince somebody, but hearing these stories of these animals, hearing that these animals do really truly suffer on large mass scale, you know, those things are the things that should change people's minds. You know, it's just, we are not capable of fathoming as human beings the number above a trillion. You know, we can't really think about that. Yeah, a trillion, okay, that's a lot of zeros, but like, that's a lot of lives. That's a lot of lives that are lost every second of every day because of how many animals we're killing, and we still can't feed the 8 to 10 billion or 8 to 9 billion people on this planet. So, you know, if meat is really necessary, then why are they terrible calorie converters? Why could we feed more people with more plant lands than animals, you know?
Yeah, have you thought about that? About all those animals that you're eating. What do they eat? How come we can afford massive populations of animals that eat 4 times the amount of humans like cows, but we can't afford to sustain our own human civilization population?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Someone asked why you should care about animals. Well, why do you care about other humans? You know, you care about another human because, like, oh, they're similar to me, they exist on this planet with me. Well, animals exist on this planet with us, and they can feel, and they can suffer, and they can have emotions just like we do. Just because we can't hear their voices doesn't mean that they're not experiencing this life in a similar fashion.
They want to live. It's easy to be vegan.
Vegans don't eat any animals. We don't eat any meat, no dairy, no eggs. We do not consume any sort of animal exploitation. So that includes zoos, SeaWorld, any sort of circus, carnivals that use animals for monetary gain.
Yeah. I want to see who's in the chat right now. If you are vegan, I want you to type a 1. If you're non-vegan, but open to it, I'd like you to put a 2. If you're a 3 and you have no brain cells, put anything else. Anything else is fine. I see Lambretta. I see Red Tent Man. What's up, Red Tent Man? I don't think I've seen you in the chat. Oh, so many vegans. What's up, Lexi? What's up, Lori?
No, I've never eaten raw meat. That sounds like a disease. I'm getting ready to tap out of here.
Yeah, well, we can tap out if someone wants to trade. I'm sure someone will in a second. I pulled my shoe out for shoe guy.
I saw, yeah. Does anyone have any real questions?
Yeah. If you guys saw a cow and someone walked up to the cow and started kicking it in its ribs, would you think that that's ethical? Would you be thinking maybe that's a little unfair for the cow? Is it moral to kick a cow? What do you guys think? Why do you guys care about if I have a job or not?
I don't have contempt for people. I have love for people. I have contempt for action, and I feel like when people make wrong action or hurt others, I think that is a wrong thing to do. But I love people. I have no problem with humans, and I have no problem with animals, and I love people in general.
Yeah, do you think animals deserve respect? Is it respectful to animals if you eat their flesh? If someone ate your flesh when you die without your consent, would that be fair? I don't think it would be.
Well, there actually, so someone said here there's a difference for killing for food and killing for fun. Well, you're killing an animal for taste pleasure because you can eat other options. And that, I think, is the same category as fun.
When I met my wife, Dailey, here, she was not vegan. And I told her about my stance, and I'd asked her dad if I can marry her. I told her, you do not have to be vegan for me. If anything, be vegan for the animals. And asked her dad if I could marry her, and her dad said, as long as you don't make her be vegetarian, which is insane. And I told him, it's not my choice to make. It's her choice. She's an adult. She gets to choose for herself if she's going to respect animals or not. We've all been conditioned into using animals on the daily for optional products, and it's just, wake up and smell the coffee. Like, this is awful. This is horrific. If you want to fight oppression and injustice, let's strike at the root. Yep, it's starting to rain here. Rain's picking up. Get a little windy.
Yes, absolutely.
100%.
Yes.
If you agree with us vegans, you think
Oh, they can't hear you, Daniel.
Oh.
Here you go. Sorry.
What is stopping you from expanding your circle of compassion to include those animals that you eat?
I'll put your sign right here.
What's stopping you? You're dead and you're getting chewed on and you have no say in the matter and you're dead. Animals deserve the same basic rights as we have. Nice, Brett. Yeah, Brett, please be vegan. Let's see what's going on TikTok. Your testosterone is 0. I don't know where you're getting that information from. You didn't do a test on me and you're loco. 0T. You're probably thinking about the phytoestrogen myth, which is that soy products produce estrogen. They actually produce phytoestrogen because plants don't have animal hormones. Plants have plant hormones. It's mammals that have mammal hormones. You're telling me that I'm hormonal for eating soy, and you're drinking milk from a cow. You're still breastfeeding from an animal that's not even your same species. Yeah, how can you possibly judge me on that? I drink oatmeal every day. There's coconut milk, soy milk, rice milk. You name it. Starting to rain. My life, my choice. Your life, your choice. Is the animal's choice and the animal's life yours as well? Is the animal's yours to take? Why do you think that animals are yours to take from? Not even chickens. It's not okay to exploit chickens for their eggs. You might think it's a harmless process, but it's not. The factory farms lie. They say things like humane slaughter, cage-free. Those are all lies, and backyard chickens are wrong as well because they are simply not vending machines. They don't produce eggs for you. And how about this? Next time a human female is on their period, why don't you fry up what comes out in a frying pan and eat that instead, because it's the same shit. It's unfertilized chicken egg. It's disgusting. Aside from disgusting, it's wrong to take from an animal, to see an animal as a vending machine. And they've been bred to produce more and more. There's a sanctuary that I went to recently, and there was a chicken that had been saved from slaughter, and her legs were super wide. She could barely walk, and they said she's not going to live for much longer because of the type of chicken that she is. They've bred them to grow faster, and they crush their own bodies under their weight because they want to make more meat. They want to make it faster. How horrific that they can suffer. Welcome in, you guys. We are in Portland, Oregon here. This is anti-animal use. We are vegans. We're out here asking you and the public of Portland that you become vegan for the animals, because there's about 90 billion plus land animals that die every single year for human usage. Not counting the sea creatures, then it'd be over 3 trillion. That's unfathomable numbers. We can't sustain 8 billion people because we're sustaining 90 billion animals.
Somebody says God put them animals here for us to consume. That's why. I'll let you address that one.
God put the animals here for us. Actually, God made the animals before us. Chronologically, if you read Genesis, God made the animals and then he made us.
Oh.
We're the stewards. We're here for the animals. He made us for the animals to protect them. And look what you've done. How disgraceful to use God's good name to exploit animals. You think God really gave you animals for exploitation?
Somebody says they don't want to eat chemical foods, so it's very possible to live a vegan ethic and also consume a more affordable whole foods plant-based diet that doesn't involve any processed foods. It can be stuff like potatoes, legumes, grains, pastas, rices, fruit, veg, berries, nut seeds, those types of foods. None
That's
of
right.
them are processed.
That's right. Just like Daniel in the Bible, him and his friends ate Zora, which is plants from seed. They only ate seeds. They told the king that they would eat only seeds, and they said, after 10 days, if we look and feel better than your people, then we'll continue to eat only plants and only vegetables. That's a little cameo from the Bible, Daniel, chapter 1. But I want to remind you guys that we are here to talk about veganism, not about health, not about diet. Veganism is not a diet, it's a set of ethics. You know, if you think it's wrong to kick a dog, why is it okay to stab them and eat them?
Right.
Why is it okay to pay someone to kill animals for you to eat?
Somebody wants to know, what do you think about animals that eat other animals? So the wolf, the bear, the tiger, they don't have access to Wincos and grocery outlets or whichever grocery store you go to. They don't have access to plant seeds or to farmers markets. But since we do have that option, since we can choose to boycott and stand against this injustice towards our fellow earthlings, why wouldn't we? How could we justify continuing to participate when we don't need to? What do you think?
What's the justification? How do you justify it? Have you thought about it? Because personally, I never thought about it till I watched the film, and I was totally shooken.
Let's see. Somebody says, fellow earthlings. What do you mean? Do you not think that you're a being of this earth? Do you think you're an alien? Do you not think that you too are an animal? You are a human animal, another species of animal. I'm asking, what's the difference between a human animal? What's the difference between me and a pig that would justify exploiting the pig, but not me? What's the difference between myself and a fish that makes it justified to exploit the fish, but not me? I want to have this conversation with you.
And we're, of course, talking about not situations of survival or necessity. We're talking about day to day, because you're all on your phone right now. Like, we're privileged people. It's way more privileged to be eating individuals who have been tortured and killed against their will, and you think that's privileged to be vegan. It's way more privileged to eat animals. It's a privilege that shouldn't exist. Animals deserve respect.
Right. If you're sourcing animals from the grocery store, if that's where you're getting your animal flesh and secretions, you could save up to 30% on your grocery bill by choosing to boycott that system of violence and oppression. Oxford University conducted a study that showed a whole foods plant-based diet can be up to 30% more affordable. So not only is it good for our fellow earthlings, not only is it good for the planet, but it's also good for your wallet. There's just no reason to continue participating.
Yeah. I was really surprised how cheap it is to eat whole food plant-based over the last couple weeks. Surprisingly cheap. The cheapest foods in the store are always like bagged beans and grains and rice, those kinds of things. It's always been the cheapest stuff in grocery stores.
Somebody says we have to eat to survive. This is very true. If you and I stop eating, we're not going to live. But we have a choice to make. We can survive and thrive while consuming animal flesh, secretions, and plants, or we can survive and thrive consuming plants only. So if our participation in this system of violence and exploitation is optional, why would we choose to participate when we have another option? Should we contribute to needless exploitation and violence? What do you think?
When I was younger, I thought I wanted to minimize the harm that I do throughout my life. The path that I go on, I want to cause the least amount of damage. And veganism is not that. Veganism isn't being compassionate, it's leaving them alone. Kind of like when you walk by someone on the street and you don't attack them. It's not polite to not attack someone or not use someone or not exploit someone. It's common decency to leave them alone.
The bare minimum.
The bare minimum. Veganism is the moral baseline. That's what we mean by that.
To anybody who's joined more recently and is curious, we're here in Portland, Oregon at Pioneer Place Mall. It's a little bit rainy here in Portland. I'm not sure how many folks are stopping, but we're going to keep asking those who are comfortable to have conversations on camera. But we'll keep engaging the chat, Daniel and I'll ask the chat, what is your justification for using other animals for their flesh, their secretions, for entertainment, clothing, or testing, or any of these reasons when we have alternatives in 2026? Let's talk about it.
Justification. They taste good. Right. I understand you say they taste good. I agree with you, actually. They do taste good. Pigs used to be my favorite flesh to consume. I loved the taste of ham and bacon, but unfortunately, when I learned about their sentience and my hypocrisy, I went vegan. The greatest benefit to you going vegan is that you'll no longer be a hypocrite. because you believe that animals deserve moral consideration.
Somebody says dude must miss chicken. So if you're talking about chicken flesh, I can't speak for Daniel, but I don't miss consuming a piece of a bird.
No.
Once I've understood what it is and that I don't need to contribute to it, I don't miss eating a piece of somebody. I wouldn't miss eating a piece of a dog, and I don't miss eating pieces of birds. I seek to stand against that injustice. The
Right.
rain's really coming down here in Portland, Oregon. Everybody double tap that screen, share the live. It's a little bit nasty here.
Also, not to burst your bubble, but vegan chicken tastes better than real chicken. Like, it doesn't have fat chunks in it, you know, or hormones or suffering. So try some vegan chicken. There's some really great stuff out there, for real.
Yeah, the birds aren't exploited, and you don't have a chance of catching a deadly disease by not cooking it fully.
Yeah.
Somebody says, so would you rather take food from animals? What is your point? We can feed animals and humans using less plants than we do currently, if we all just consume plants only.
Right. I want to encourage everyone in the chat right now to do some critical thinking for the first time in your life and think. Just think. Do animals deserve to be stabbed to death for you? For an optional product? Come on. Do I need a whiteboard?
Somebody says plants feel too, so I want to ask you a hypothetical. Would you rather step on some grass or step on the throat of a live puppy? Which of these would you prefer to do? If you're saying that you'd rather step on the grass, you are conceding that there's a distinction, ethically speaking, between non-sentient life, such as plants, and sentient life, such as animals.
Right.
Only if you put broccoli in a gas chamber, they're not going to scream. Pigs do.
Broccoli, maybe.
Sorry, maybe a bad vegetable to choose.
You want to take over?
Oh, sure. I'm just trying to. Oh, sure. Okay. Awesome. Okay. I was holding it like this. I don't know if like that's more comfortable. Whatever's more comfortable for you.
The phone's okay?
Yep, the phones are great. They're actually fully covered. It's just this little bit that sometimes would sprinkle on you guys.
And it was. I was
Yeah.
feeling those drops.
Yeah. So, this is just basically that backside. So I was like trying to get it to drip off the back. Hey guys, sorry, Vegan Store Lady here. What's up?
Oh wow, 95
see
new
you.
messages.
Oh
We
dang,
need to
guys.
move up the TikTok chat. There's a lot of people talking in TikTok.
A lot of people. Wow. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Thank you for being here. We're here in Portland, Oregon, in front of the Pioneer Place Mall, hoping to interview some people and just talk about, what we think is right and wrong. Do you think the powerful should have the right to oppress the powerless?
Somebody says vegan chicken is full of chemicals. So you don't have to consume vegan chicken. If you want to consume a diet that opposes animal exploitation and doesn't have chemicals, you can focus on a whole foods plant-based diet and eat things like grains and rice and pasta and beans and lentils and tofu and nuts and seeds and berries and fruits and veg. You have so many options in the grocery store.
Yep.
You don't have to pick up the vegan chicken if you don't want to, if you think it's processed. Although I will tell you that there are studies that have been conducted that test the health outcomes of mock meats versus the animal flesh.
Yep.
And the mock meats are showing better health outcomes. So that's something to sit with as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Very true. But let's say, there were no alternatives, right? Does the fact that, we can get everything we still need from like beans and other plants, does that, just because you won't have that same flavor profile, does that justify exploiting someone? Would you tolerate that if someone said, I just enjoy a certain flavor and the alternatives are full of chemicals, so I'm just going to keep using you instead? Would you find that fair? You'd like take the alternatives or go without, right? You can eat beans. So
Somebody says, you should read the research on plants and consciousness. We have. I'll direct you to it. There's been a big study conducted called Debunking a Myth, Plant Consciousness. Again, the study is titled, quote, Debunking a Myth, Plant Consciousness, unquote. Go read up on that study and you'll see that while plants respond to stimuli, they are not sentient like animals are. And I think you understand this. I'll give you the same hypothetical. Who do you prefer to put in a gas chamber? Which entity? A live bird or a piece of lettuce?
yeah,
Come on.
it's pretty obvious.
Let's be real.
Come on, guys. Yeah. And if you need evidence on sentience, we have the Cambridge Declaration of Consciousness and the New York Declaration of Consciousness, not to mention every single animal welfare legislation in any country is recognizing that animals are experiencing life and that you have to at least consider it, right? So that's acknowledging that they're sentient, that they're experiencing life. If someone has the capacity to suffer, don't they deserve moral consideration? Shouldn't we consider their best interest before our benefits of using them?
I want to ask everybody who's here to double tap that screen and share the live in both YouTube and TikTok, respectively. We're here in Portland, Oregon. It's turned a little rainy on us, but we're at Pioneer Place Mall, and we're having conversations with folks who are willing to stop in person, as well as opening up a space of reflection with the chat about animal liberation. Most of us support movements like feminism and anti-racism, but should we expand our liberatory scope to include opposing the oppression of our animal relatives?
Oh, okay. Well, then you need to not be on the camera. Thank you.
We have a kiddo. A little troll. Somebody is just spamming, do you support PETA? Do you support PETA? We are not PETA. We are anti-animal use. We're here to stand against animal exploitation. We're not here to have a talk about PETA or abortion. I've seen some of those people try to pivot us to different topics as well. We're here to talk about animal exploitation. Is it fair to use our fellow earthlings for their flesh, their secretions, for entertainment or clothing or testing? What do you think? When we have an alternative, is it just? Is it fair?
Would you tolerate those excuses if you were the victim, right? Because that's what it always comes down to. Is there's a victim involved. You will always have benefits as the oppressor. You may struggle to find those benefits elsewhere, but you're the oppressor. The victim's benefits and what they need, what their preferences are, what their best interests are, those matter more than you getting benefits from exploiting them, period.
Somebody in the TikTok chat says they only support exploitation for food. So do you support, for instance, me opening up a dog farm, hypothetically, here in Portland? Would you support exploiting dogs for their milk or for their flesh or for any other thing that's on them? Or do you think we should respect dogs as individuals? And if you're saying that we should respect them, we shouldn't exploit them, I want to ask you, what's the difference between dogs and the animals that humans do exploit, like birds, cows, pigs, fish? What's the difference between dogs and these other animals that makes it unacceptable to exploit the dog, but acceptable to exploit the rest? We want to hear it.
And while we're waiting for your response to that, we're here in Portland, Oregon, in front of the Pioneer Place Mall, waiting to talk to some of our neighbors. And in the meantime, we want to hear from you about what's holding you back from living in alignment with your own principles, living vegan.
Somebody says, because it's natural for us to eat the animals that we eat, do you think that everything that is natural is necessarily good? My glasses are natural, and they're not natural, excuse me, they're going against nature. But I think they're a good thing because they provide me with better access to this world. They allow me to navigate it more easily, and it supports my bodily autonomy. So some things are unnatural but good, and some things are natural and bad. For instance, some things like earthquakes and tsunamis, these cause a lot of individuals to lose their life, and they cause a lot of suffering. If we could push a button and prevent one of those from happening, I would do that too. Another example of something that's natural and unethical is big cats. Sometimes they'll eat their young, they'll eat their babies, but it wouldn't be justified for you or I to eat one of our family members just because a big cat does it and it's something that happens in nature. We understand that we should step outside of that natural practice in that instance to respect everyone's bodily autonomy.
Exactly. Yep. It's not about what's natural, it's about what's right.
Yeah. I just feel like there should be sign holders, so I'm kind of like...
Yeah, I get you. We have a lot of activists here today, which was really exciting. Normally, we have an undernumber, like not enough activists. We have people walking by that aren't attended to. So we have quite the opposite. It's because of the rain, though, so we have no one here. And it's hard to pick a location in the Pacific Northwest to do outreach because it's a rainy bit of the country, and everyone goes inside. So it's hard to find the people.
Yeah, it is annoying though, because I mean, here in Oregon, you'll get we just had a heat wave last week, and it was hot every day, really hot, almost getting to 100, and then now
it's
rain,
in the 60s,
rain,
and windy and cold. Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
summer too. I mean, it's in the summer months, so I mean, it should be nice out,
This is
but
weird.
that's Oregon.
I mean, yes, and I don't know. I feel like lately June has been a lot. It is still kind of a springtime. June 21st is that first day into the summer.
Yeah.
June 21st, but
I mean,
still.
it's July, so
I
it
know,
should be
right?
sunny out.
It should
but-
be. Anyway. So you guys, those that are not vegan, why aren't you vegan? Let us address this in the chat. And remember that veganism is a stance against the exploitation of other beings. I don't want others to be used unfairly if I can prevent it, if I can avoid demanding it, right? What's stopping you from doing that? Because I am sure you agree that if someone can avoid demanding your exploitation, that they should, regardless of how convenient it is.
We have someone spamming in the chat, so you're okay with severe habitat destruction to use a phone. So what you're doing is you're trying to appeal to hypocrisy or trying to find something that maybe you deem as hypocritical of us doing to make yourself feel better. That's still not a good argument, because even if we are being hypocritical, let's say, or doing something maybe that doesn't align, or is hypocritical, that still doesn't mean you shouldn't be vegan. Because I mean, like, you could use that excuse for anything. You could see an anti-racist being a hypocrite in some way. Oh, well, because they're being a hypocrite in this aspect, that means I'm going to be racist. Like, no, it's not a good argument for you to continue to exploit and unnecessarily pay for animals to be exploited and, I guess, murdered.
We are here in Portland, Oregon. I saw someone ask. We're in front of the Pioneer Place Mall. You could just throw it anywhere. We'll see it. So I did see also if vegan food tasted better, that I would change. So if you had someone like aliens come down and they decide they want to farm us like we do the animals, do you think that it's fair when they have alternatives for them to do that to you? Or that they can go without? They don't necessarily need to use you. Would you find it fair to be their victim? Or would you rather that they use whatever they need to survive and leave you alone? Yeah, so veganism isn't about harm. Veganism isn't even against killing. It's unaliving for TikTok. It's against the unnecessary exploitation of sentient beings, recognizing that somebody feels and is experiencing life. They're, even if they don't feel, they have experiences and they make preferences on those. And that's recognizing that and saying that's all that matters. The fact that you want to have that next positive experience is the same thing that I want. And if I was only down to that simple level, that I would still want to be respected. It's good that you're not anti-vegan. Ask yourself, why am I not vegan? Go watch the documentary Dominion 2018. It's free on YouTube. Ask yourself if you really want to give your money to people that are doing that.
Someone said that your hat is making them dizzy, which I thought was funny because it's got like the kind of looks like the hypnotizing thing.
Sure.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. That's funny. I just have the hat on because it was going to be sunny and then it was rainy and I'm like, it's keeping me dry. So.
Someone said, can plants not be exploited? Are plants not sentient beings? And no, they aren't sentient. They don't have a brain or central nervous system. The organs to produce consciousness, so there's no subjective experience going on up in there.
No,
They don't have there's nothing going on. They don't have an experience of like life. Yes, they are alive, but they're not experiencing life in the same way we would or other animals would. So no, you can't exploit them because there's no individual in there, right? So, but animals on the other hand, they are sentient. They can experience, and we have evidence of this. We have the I think it's the Cambridge Declaration of Consciousness, and then there's another one, I forgot the name, but animals are deemed sentient, right? So they are having a subjective experience, can feel pain, fear, can suffer. So you can't exploit them, and they have a preference not to be exploited, obviously, like we all would. So in that case, when we don't need to exploit them, why would we? No, I'm against meat consumption. So basically you're against meat industry and not meat consumption. I'm against the exploitation, right? So technically if you're in a survival situation, right, let's say, and you have no other options but to, hunt, and you need to eat meat, let's say, or, then that can be morally justified as you have literally no other option. But we do have options here. Most of us have options where we can go to a grocery store or a farmer's market, for example, and choose other options. So in that case, meat consumption can't be justified, right? Because you don't need to consume these products. So then why would you pay for an animal to be bred into existence, exploited, and then murdered unnecessarily when you don't need to? So yes, I'm against the meat industry, obviously, but we're also against the idea of animal use. That's the whole point of veganism. It's not it's not necessarily about harm or any of that. We talk about that, obviously, but it's about the exploitation and the use and the belief that animals are here for us to use as a resource. And, we view them as objects, right? We're anti that. That is not something we support, and we're speaking out against that because they're their own individuals. They should live for themselves, right? We take their autonomy away and don't give them a choice, right? But That's what we're against, and we should be against that, because we'd be against it for humans. Most of us, I'm sure, agree, we'd be against that for dogs or cats. So what's different about these other animals? You know, why do they deserve, and why should they be exploited when we don't need to? Go ahead and put a 1 in the chat if you're a vegan, and a 2. We got 2 lives going, YouTube and TikTok, so I want to see both. Got a few vegans in here, yeah. When you cut a plant, does it not bleed? No, plants don't bleed, and well, yes, a plant, I guess, can technically die as they're no longer living. But again, it's the idea, it's sentience that we care about. Plants aren't sentient. Like I said, they don't have a subjective experience. They don't have a brain or a central nervous system to produce a sentient experience, a conscious experience. So, no, a plant doesn't bleed, and a plant can die, yes. But again, there's nothing there. They're not having the subjective experience. Like if I were to stab Enigma right here, like their subjective experience would be gone, they'd be dead. But like a plant, if I were to rip it out of the ground, like
Right, there's no brain. There's no brain up there to process a nervous signal, to feel pain or to have a desire. Somebody says neither does an aborted fetus in all caps. So I understand. I really do that you want to pivot this conversation away from our fellow animals and to abortion ethics, but that is not the purpose of this live, and we're not going to do that. I'm going to ask the chat, what is the justification for exploiting other animals in 2026 when we don't need to? Let's talk about it. I want to ask everybody here to double tap that screen, share the live if you can. If anybody's curious, we're here in Portland, Oregon. We're at Pioneer Place Mall. And again, we're just opening up discussions about animal ethics.
someone said, if everybody is malnourished, it will increase the crime rate. And what is it? What's your point? Like,
Yeah, who's
I was
malnourished?
gonna say we don't have to be malnourished on eating plants.
Somebody says they taste good. So would the taste of my flesh be an argument in favor of exploiting me and taking my life from me? Let's say you did a blind taste test, hypothetically speaking, and you tasted a bit of my flesh and you tasted a bit of pig flesh, and you thought that I actually tasted better. You got more pleasure from consuming my flesh, or maybe a dog's flesh. Is the pleasure that you got from consuming me or the dog, does that justify exploiting myself or the dog? Does pleasure justify violence against humans or dogs? I just want to ask.
Someone said many cultures are based on eating meat. What do you think about that? So culture is not a justification to cause harm. I understand there's cultures and there's maybe cultural traditions around me, but again, that in and of itself is not a justification to cause harm, right? Like, there's many cultures that do certain things that we wouldn't agree with, right? There's like cultures that practice female genital mutilation, and obviously we can agree that's wrong. So just because something is inherently cultural doesn't make it right. Now, again, if somebody's in a survival situation, maybe if there's a culture, I guess, let's say, that is in an area where they have literally no other access to any other means but to maybe, say, hunt and gather for their food, then again, that can be morally justified, or at least you can see why they would do that because they don't have another option. But again, culture is not a justification to cause exploitation or suffering.
Right. Somebody says, can you ride animals? So a human animal can be consensually ridden, but in terms of riding other animals like horses, what would be the justification for using them and exploiting them as a vehicle when you don't need to? I just want to hear, what would that justification be? Do you realize that horses have to go through a process called breaking the horse, in which they are transformed from a free being who doesn't want someone on their back into somebody who will accept it because they've been forced to, because they've been groomed into that process? Does any of that sound fair?
Can you I keep seeing this question pop up. They're going to keep spamming it. Can you exploit a person in a coma and I mean, yeah, I guess technically you could. I mean, I guess it could maybe depend on their brain activity, depending on if they are still sentient, if they're not brain dead. But again, like, the question is do we need to exploit animals, and should we exploit animals when we don't need to? And the answer is no, we don't need to. And I guess even with the person in the coma, it's like, would you need to exploit them? Like, would there be any benefit in doing so, or like any reason to do so? Not even just benefit, like, I wouldn't say benefit because that kind of sounds like, I would just say, is there any necessity to do that?
Right. Somebody says, do you know anything about horses? I know that if you see a horse in the wild, or if you see a horse who hasn't been groomed to be ridden, they do not let somebody on their back. When they exercise bodily autonomy, they're saying they don't want someone on their back. So that's the behavior that I see from horses. But then I see humans violate that autonomy and force these horses to become safe rides, to force them to become a vehicle for human use. I don't think that exploitation is fair. While of course a vegan has the physical capacity to ride another animal, like a horse, they would choose not to. They would boycott that idea that somebody is here as a vehicle for me to get around. We have plenty of alternatives. We can use a car, a scooter. If we have mobility needs, we can use a wheelchair or something similar. We don't need to use animals as vehicles, so why would we?
Exactly. And someone said, I was hearing y'all until we started talking about horses. Some animals do inherently work. And I mean, will you clarify what you mean by that? Because I mean, horses don't inherently, aren't, on this planet inherently for humans to ride them, or for humans to use to ride them, right? So I mean, I would ask what you mean by that. I don't understand. What do you mean they are inherently wanting to work? I don't, because I mean, and where does it say that, or where is there any data or scientific data showing that horses inherently want humans to, ride them?
Right. Somebody's asking, why are we so weak? So I don't have any problems in terms of my strength and my day-to-day activities. I like to go on hikes as a person. You're absolutely right that I don't eat with intention. I don't try to have a protein goal. I didn't when I wasn't vegan. I didn't make protein goals then, and I don't now. And I'm not an athlete. I'm not trying to build muscle in any way. But if you are curious about folks who are living a vegan ethic and are practicing plant-based athletics, they're living that ethic and they're eating plants and they're also an athlete, just look up vegan or plant-based bodybuilder on YouTube. You'll see lots of folks there. They're showing how to build muscle affordably on plants only. There's also plant-based Olympic athletes. These are folks who have made it to the pinnacle of athletic performance doing it on plants only. So if they can do it, why can't you?
Yeah, someone said yes, absolutely. Like dogs, animals do naturally have jobs and roles, and animals may naturally, I guess, have roles, sure, that they provide in nature, or like just how maybe we back in the day when we were in hunter and gatherer, I guess, tribes, we may have had roles, right, or whatnot, but their roles aren't to be assigned for humans to use. Where is there any data showcasing that? Because that's something that we kind of just made up, right? We like to say these things and pin these roles onto these animals, but I mean, the ones doing that are us, right? We decide that for them. It's not something that's inherent in them that they, I mean, maybe nowadays because we've selectively bred them to be dependent on us, for example, for dogs, for example, but naturally speaking, they wouldn't, be inclined to be, for human use or to serve us in some way, the ways that we like to make them serve us, or,
Somebody says, so you are unhealthy. You'd never be let in war. That is very true. You're right. I would never fight a war by some state controlled by rich oligarchs who want to expand their empire. I would never fight on behalf of the US government or any government across the world. The reason would not be a lack of physical capacity. It would be an absolute ethical refusal to participate in war machines, imperialism, and expansionist visions of all these nation states across the world. So you're absolutely true about that. But I want to steer the conversation back to animal ethics and animal exploitation. I want to ask you, what justifies exploiting our fellow earthlings and using them as objects within the food, clothing, entertainment, and testing industries. What justifies this when we have an alternative today? Again, these are simple swaps that we're talking about. We're talking about questions like these. Is it justified to pick up a piece of a bird, a piece of chicken, rather when you could instead pick up a piece of tofu or a mock meat or a bag of beans or a can of beans or some lentils? Is it justified to attend the rodeo, the aquarium, or the zoo and contribute to animals being confined and exploited when you could instead watch a nature documentary where those same animals are in their home habitats and free? Is it justified to go to a store and purchase new clothing when you could go to a thrift store and purchase textiles such as cotton and bamboo and hemp instead of leather and wool and silk? These are the type of questions we're asking. If we can avoid exploiting other animals, why wouldn't we?
Right, and someone also on the TikTok side said mules and ox are still used in places like Nepal for carrying gear, and is that right? Like we're posing the question, like what, like if we don't need to use these animals, right? Because we have other means of carrying gear and transporting stuff, right? So why should we be using these animals? Should we be breeding these animals to be used as a resource and essentially an object for us to use, right? Like they live, like I keep saying this, they live for themselves and themselves alone, right? Like they don't live for me, they don't live for Enigma, they don't live for any of you on the live, right? They live for themselves, they're individuals, and so, we shouldn't be using them. We shouldn't have this mindset that they're here for our use. Humans have this idea that we're the kind of like the only life on this planet, or at least the only intelligent life, or so to speak, and that we can do whatever we want. We can destroy as we please. We can use individuals as we please, exploit as we please, and we need to stop this way of thinking, because just with this thinking, it just allows for other forms of injustice to also exist as well.
Right.
Like
It's the same logic.
It's the same logic. So we need to knock it off, because I'm sure the majority of you in here, unless you're like not a good person, but would agree that racism, sexism, other forms of discrimination are bad, right? And how is this form of discrimination any different?
I want to address a comment that Jess Berry made on YouTube about zoos, in favor of zoos. They say zoos have helped prevent extinctions of certain species. This might be true. I want to ask you, if you were one of the last remaining humans on Earth, right? And it was necessary because you didn't want to procreate yourself, but it was necessary for someone to put you in a cage and force you to reproduce to maintain the human species. Would you accept that violation of your bodily autonomy? Would you accept being confined and exploited to continue the species? And if not, why should we expect, for instance, lions or other animals that are exploited in zoos to accept in that exploitation just for the sake of the species? If you wouldn't accept it for me or for humans on the verge of extinction, why support it for them? Another way to think about this is there are many lines of dogs who went extinct once certain anti-dogfighting laws came to fruition. When dogfighting was banned in these places, certain lines of dogs no longer existed. Their breeding programs were shut down. But I hope you understand that that's a positive development for these dogs, for these individuals who are no longer bred into existence to be used as an object for humans' entertainment and pleasure. So just because a certain line of animals may be extinct, it doesn't justify violating the bodily autonomy of already existing individuals. Somebody says, why would I want to eat mock meat when I could eat a real steak? So if you could choose between something that causes a cow to be exploited and killed versus something that doesn't, on what basis can you justify choosing to exploit the cow? What's the justification for choosing that violence when you don't need to?
Someone said, I don't like zoos. That's a different topic. Some animals are needed to complete. No, so you're the one assigning that they're meant to do that. They're meant to complete a task for you or for us, and we're the ones who assign that role to them. They're not meant to do anything, right? We just, as humans, have decided, oh, this animal's meant to do this, and this animal's meant to do that, and this animal's meant to be this for us, right? There's no, again, like I keep saying, that's what we're against. They exist for themselves, as individuals and for nobody else. We shouldn't be exploiting them for any reason, right? Like, again, we've turned these individuals essentially into commodities and resources.
I'm going to ask everybody who's here to double tap that screen and share the live if you can. The weather's making another abrupt turn here in Oregon, here in Portland, Oregon at the Pioneer Place Market. It's a little bit sunny now. We just got a lot of rain. We're here to start a conversation with y'all in the chat, as well as folks in person, about animal exploitation. We're asking, is it fair to exploit animals for their flesh or secretions, or for entertainment, clothing, or testing, when we have an alternative today, when we don't need to? What do you think?
Someone said I only eat meat for health reasons, and what health reasons are there specifically that you're referring to? Leave them in the chat.
Somebody says medical alert dogs are necessary. I would have to look more into this specific use case, but I oppose service dogs in general because we're imposing a purpose on them and forcing them to perform labor unconsensually. If you consider, for instance, the subjectivity of a dog to be similar to that of a young child, would it be fair to demand a young person and force them to perform a service for you? They never get to opt out of it. They never get a choice. That wouldn't be fair for them, so why is it fair for the dog? In terms of specifically the medical alert dogs, I think we have alternatives in terms of technology and surrounding folks with healthcare.
Interview someone on the show. Well, we try to get people to come up. We have people holding signs, and if they want to come up and talk, then we will be happy to interview them. But
Yeah.
we just unfortunately haven't had anybody come up today.
Yeah, I'm seeing some folks who are a little bit angry that I've said something about service dogs. But we have to ask, is it fair to breed someone into existence for our purpose, to use them? I support an anti-capitalist and anti-speciesist approach, which gives our community more time and gives them more opportunities and not having to work all the time to support their disabled relatives. I think that we should be providing that support to our disabled communities consensually by humans who have the ability to say yes to this and who aren't forced to do so. Somebody says something about boar. I think they're talking about, I'm not sure what they're talking about, but I think another common argument that I hear related to pigs in the wild is that they are invasive or that they are overpopulating. But I think it's important to first analyze why this is happening. Because of animal agriculture and the farming of animals like pigs and birds and cows, certain animals like pigs, their natural predators, were killed off by these farming industries, and that's why their populations are soaring today. We can exercise compassionate alternatives to simply shooting these pigs in the head. And some of these, for instance, include contraceptives. We can spread contraceptives into these pig communities that allow them to live out their lives fully without having somebody shoot them in the head. Don't you think that's a better alternative? I want to say thank you to all the vegans and the mods in the chat. There's been a lot of bigotry, there's been a lot of nasty energy, but I'm very thankful for y'all to keep the chat somewhat free of that nonsense. Somebody says force contraception on them against their will. Yes, in the same way that we do with dogs and cats. Because we've created this problem, right? We have a responsibility to clean up our own mess in the most compassionate way. If you can think of a way that's more compassionate than shooting them in the head or giving them contraceptive, I'm open to hearing solutions to this problem. But if you're trying to just argue in favor of shooting pigs, that's not better than contraceptives. Absolutely not.
Someone said, what do you do with the animals that no longer serve a purpose for the humans? Well, first of all, if we aren't breeding these animals into existence, if the demand goes down, the number of these selectively bred animals will also go down, and we'd actually be wild, tons of species going extinct due to the threat of animal agriculture.
Yep.
So not only that, but that, again, this is the whole mindset thing is that I keep talking about, is that's the issue, is you, or just, us as a human race, we view animals as they need to serve some sort of purpose for us as humans. We assign that they need to be used in some way, or that their only purpose is to be used by humans, and that's what we're rejecting, because again, they exist for themselves. They're individuals for themselves and no one else. They're not meant to be used by anybody. They don't exist for you, for me, for anybody. Like,
Right.
they're not yours.
for us.
They're not a resource, right? They're just their own individuals, right? Sentient individuals who just should have the basic respect and right to just live their lives free of this exploitation that we put onto them, right? Because there's no need for it, and again, we wouldn't argue it's okay to do that to a human. So why is it okay to do it to these other animals? What is the morally relevant difference that justifies doing it to them but not to humans, for example, or, you know?
Yeah. Somebody asked about the question of contraceptives with wild populations that have kind of exploded. They said, so are you going to snip them? So there's more than one way to use contraceptives. I would probably support something more so as that's fed to them orally. That allows them to still have sex, to still do all of the things they want to do and live out their life to the fullest, but they just won't create babies and continue to exacerbate this problem that we created, that we have to find compassionate alternatives to solve. I want to address a comment from Paul over here that says, why are you wearing leather belts and shoes? We don't wear animal skin, such as leather. We don't wear animal fur or wool. We don't wear silk. We don't wear any of that, any of us. Speaking personally, before I accept something as a gift or bring it into my house, I ensure that it isn't made from animal skins or any animal textiles, because I don't want to contribute to animals being commodified in any realm, whether it's clothing, whether it's food, or whether it's entertainment. I want to ask to anybody who's joined more recently, or I'll just remind anybody who's joined recently, that we're here in Portland, Oregon at Pioneer Place Mall, and we're having conversations about fairness and other animals. Is it fair to exploit our animal relatives when we don't need to?
Someone said, but with wool, you don't kill the sheep. Well, first of all, the wool industry is horrible.
True.
These animals are bred into existence, and we've bred them into existence to produce tons more amount of wool than they otherwise naturally would. Naturally, they would shed it in the warmer months when they don't have as much need for as much wool, right, to keep warm. So then they would shed their wool, but they don't do that anymore, or they produce so much wool that we have to shear them. And the way they shear these sheep, they're brutal, they're rough. A lot of times, more humane methods aren't incentivized because it's more costly for the farmers and the people that are doing this to these sheep. So methods are taken that are more rough and inhumane, right? But besides, and then eventually once their wool production declines and they're no longer deemed profitable, they're sent to a slaughterhouse just like any other animal. Right. But again, that's not the main issue, is that they're being used for this. And the reason why we even use wool is because we've bred these animals, right, into existence to be used for that purpose, and we shouldn't be doing that anyway. So if you go and buy wool from the store, you're demanding that more animals are bred into existence to continue this cycle, of them being selectively bred to produce more wool, and it will just continue and continue and continue until we stop viewing these animals as a resource.
Yeah, why contribute to that injustice if you don't need to? Somebody says, no, I care about sweatshops as well. I get mostly secondhand clothes. Same. Although sometimes I'll receive a gift that is a piece of clothing, and I might accept it if it's not animal textiles made from animal skin or fur or silk. I might accept it. Whenever I'm seeking out clothing, I also buy secondhand, because we live in a capitalist society of overproduction. There's way too much clothing in existence. It's clogging up landfills, and we should use what exists first before constructing new clothing materials.
Someone's asking, is it justified to kill cockroaches in your house? And I think it depends on the context. If they're being invasive, I guess, and no other option you have if you've tried every other option, let's say, to, get them out of the house, and there's no other option, and maybe they pose a threat to you, then sure. If that's really the only option, sure. But it's not comparable to a lion eating a gazelle, because again, the lion's doing that out of necessity, right? And if you have other ways of, say, getting the cockroaches out of your house, and you should take those routes, because if I see a bug, I'm not just going to go step on the bug for no reason. Why would I do that, right? And if I have an alternative method to, I guess, get cockroaches, right, that doesn't maybe cause them to die, then sure, yeah, I take that route. But if it's the only option, then that can, I guess, be justified. But again, that's not comparable to a lion eating a gazelle, because the lion, again, is doing that out of necessity and has no other option.
Right. You have a grocery store.
Right. They don't get a choice, and that's not an argument against veganism. I don't really know the point of that argument, but I thought I'd address it.
Somebody said a little bit back, you should interview an indigenous person or a Native American person on these issues. I here am an indigenous person. I come from the salmon people alongside the Columbia River, and I was taught a principle of respecting my fellow earthlings. I was taught that it was unacceptable to pull more fish out of the water. It was unacceptable to pull more fish out of the water than was absolutely necessary to survive. And for myself as an indigenous person today, with autonomy to choose what indigenous futures look like, I choose to relate to fish as individuals to respect. Since none of them need to be pulled out of the water for me, I'd much prefer to honor their freedom and watch them swim by rather than commodify them and objectify them when I don't need to. That's not what my ancestors taught me, and it's not in alignment. It doesn't make sense to me.
No, we're not in
Somebody says, but they did eat them in a situation of necessity. We're not talking about a situation of necessity today. They ate as many as they needed to survive. Everybody in the chat here doesn't need to eat any fish or any animals in order to survive. And I, as an indigenous person who live in proximity to cities, I don't live in a big city, but I live adjacent to it, as somebody who shops at a grocery store, like most indigenous people here, I have options and I get to exercise autonomy and choose how I want to connect to my animal relatives. Do I want to treat them as a resource to exploit or as an individual to respect?
Someone asked if we're in New York, and no, we're here in Portland, Oregon. We're by Pioneer Place Mall. We're trying to get people, tried to get people to interview, but unfortunately nobody has wanted to be interviewed today. But no, we're not in New York, but that would honestly be cool. I'd be down to. Oh, perfect.
We're about to leave. We are taking off, but it has been a pleasure talking to the wall and also the people who are open.
Hello. Sorry, you guys, we lost you. Should the powerful have the right to oppress the powerless? That's what we're here to ask. Beautiful Portland, Oregon, in front of the Pioneer Place Mall.
And in fact, they give you more respect when you're stern with them like that. Right. Like,
Did you say? Oh shoot.
You're like, okay, I'm gonna be a little rude, and they're like, okay, thanks for changing. And you're like,
It's okay. That's what it's beating up already. I don't care.
they like it. And it's
Go ahead and put a 1 in the chat if you're a vegan and a 2 if you're a non-vegan. And if you're a non-vegan, go ahead and say why in the chat, and we'll talk about it.
Make sure that you're tapping on the screen. Make sure you're getting the hearts going. Love to see the green hearts in the chat, and share it if you can. Okay, we want to get as many people in here as possible. So tap those little fingers. Tap, 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 tap.
Yeah, for all the vegans in there, share the live, and yeah, like the live. 2, I like the taste of meat. Does something being tasty? Bye, Daniel. We'll see you. Hopefully next time, maybe.
yeah, we'll get some food next time.
Sorry.
No, you're all good.
And I'll share the.
I want with guts who will fight. Okay, but do you want someone who's abusive to those that are vulnerable? Does that really, is that someone you're attracted to? Is someone who will kick someone when they're down? Someone who will slit someone's throat when it's unnecessary?
I'm questioning that one because if animals good for
Yeah, exactly, Dashing Grandpa. If plants aren't supposed to be eaten, why are they so yummy? So the point is that plants don't feel, animals do, right? Animals do feel pain. They do experience life, right? They still make preferences. That's what's important. Plants don't do that.
We'll get there. They call it grass.
So we're here in Portland, Oregon, in front of the Pioneer Place Mall, and we're waiting to have some interviews with people. I've got my sign. I want people to come talk to me, and I want to ask them, do they think that the power has the right to oppress the powerless? Hi. You want to have a conversation? Yeah. Do you think the power... Oh, okay. I don't think she actually read it. She said yes, but I don't think she was actually reading it. So my sign says, should the powerful have the right to oppress the powerless? And that means, the power can be anything. It can be strength, it can be intelligence, it can be whatever you find powerful. Some people find their race to be powerful, their gender to be powerful, right? Do you think that whatever you have makes you more important than someone else who still cares about themselves? Do your benefits matter more than their experiences?
Someone's saying I will not be be lectured by. I will not sit here and be lectured by a white woman. I don't see what that has to do with anything. I mean, you can leave the live if you'd like. I mean, nobody's forcing you to be here. And again, we're not necessarily lecturing anybody. We're just out here rejecting and talking about, animal, or just speaking up for the animals, the victims that are forced to endure this exploitation and these labels that we put on them, deemed as being for food or for clothing, and forced to endure, I guess, humans' wrath, if you want to call it, because of what we've assigned them to be. We're speaking out against oppression and discrimination. So if that bothers you, and if it bothers you that we're white and we're speaking out against that, then that's, I don't know what to say to that.
It's funny that you say that you're being lectured coming into someone else's live with your own free will, with your little fingy. You hit the button to come in here. So, I mean, I just don't know why you bother then to take your fingy and all your effort to type in a message that is about you crying because you're offended, right? If truly you don't care about what I'm saying, then scroll on, right? But often what happens is trolls do hear something that strikes in their heart that, yeah, you know what, you're right, but I don't like that you're right, so I'm going to try to hurt you instead of changing, because that's easier.
Right. I think you're jumping to these excuses because something in you feels maybe guilty, and so you feel the need to say what you're saying. But again, if you're really upset that we're white and we're talking about this, then you can just leave the live and never think about it again if you want. I mean,
it's really ignorant of you to say, because you're another color, I'm not going to listen to you. You should hear what I have to say and then go look into it. It's not that we're some kind of authority. It's that we're raising awareness of what's happening.
right.
Yes, Neely, I see you. You will fight and die for your animals. Why are you demanding other animals go into slaughterhouses? Why are you demanding other animals have their families ripped apart, be forced to be in a family? Why are you doing that? Blame the U.S. for letting people do what? Yeah, so humans supposedly are yummy. They taste like bacon from what we get from past anecdotal stories of people who have consumed human flesh. There's a term for it called long pig, in fact. So does that justify enslaving and exploiting humans for their taste pleasure?
Right. It's not a good excuse. I mean, like, you wouldn't use this excuse for any other. I mean, would that be acceptable if it were a dog or a cat? Would you use that as a justification?
Hey, we're doing interviews. Can I interview you?
Or, yeah, like Anna was saying, I mean, like, if humans tasted good, like, would that be a justification to exploit and, kill them for their flesh? I mean, let's be realistic, guys. We all know it's not a good justification. So what is the morally relevant difference when it comes to cows, pigs, chickens, and other animals that we use? Not even just for food, but just,
Sorry, keep going.
Not even just for food, but just for any reason, right? For any use that we don't need, whether that is food or clothing, or cosmetic testing, for entertainment, zoos, aquariums, circuses. So, just the pleasure and the benefits we get from doing this to animals is not worth it, and doesn't justify doing what we do.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not about your pleasure that you get from using bee vomit. The point is, you shouldn't exploit the bees for their vomit. That's their vomit. Let them keep it. They use it to feed each other, to get through the hard weather, to get through the seasons of winter when flowers aren't abundant. Do you need help?
I just want to, can we kick this person?
Yeah, which one? This one?
Yeah.
Okay, tap on them, and then you just scroll down here, and you do hide.
Okay.
If they're like terrible. If you just want to, you can do a little timeout. And there's different times you can select. That is somebody else. I already kicked them. We can unkick people though. If you message me and you're like, you know what, I genuinely want to be a part of your lives, we can unblock you. But if you're, saying things that are just really inappropriate, rude, racist, sexist, homophobic, misogynist, transphobic, whatever, we will kick you the F out. We don't tolerate any of that. We don't think there's any arbitrary reason that justifies demeaning and being racist or discriminative in any way, including by species. So bees make honey for themselves, not for you. Yeah, exactly. That is another issue, is that breeding more honeybees actually does kill off the wild pollinators. But the issue is more that they bred someone into existence to exploit. And yes, it'll have environmental effects, but the more issue is, like, we shouldn't have enslaved bees. Shouldn't have started to make them make honey for us. That's slavery. Yeah, they overmake honey like cows overproduce milk. We've bred them that way. So they take a queen and they hold her with little pincers so her behind is open, right? Her thorax, they hold it open with tweezers, and then they crush 6 to 20 drones for their semen to pump into that queen bee's thorax, right? If that were a human, what would we call that? You're forcefully impregnating somebody. There's a term for that. So we force her to have the babies that fit our genetic needs. Right? And then when they overproduce, we make that as the excuse to keep abusing them, keep exploiting them. We do the same thing to dairy cows. Oh, they overproduce milk. Well, that's because you made them. We don't need to do that anymore. They live actually shorter lives because we've done that to them. I won't lie, Wendy, that was funny.
Should we stop dissecting animals for science? Yes. We shouldn't be using animals for any use because there's no need for it. I mean, you might know better than me. I'm not sure about all the alternative methods that we can use.
For what?
Someone said, should we stop dissecting animals for science?
Oh, yes, absolutely. What are we doing? We don't need to do that anymore. We can take pictures. We have other technology. We don't need to dissect animals. That's disgusting.
Right, and animal testing, for example, I think the number, what is it, like 90-something% of like...
When it comes to medicine, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't even transfer over to human testing, human trials, so... If it's completely useless, and it's like just a waste of time, it's a waste of resources, and it's also a waste, or it's unnecessary suffering and exploitation on these animals that, like, again, it's like it's pointless. There's no reason to do it. And if we have better alternatives, it's like, why not take those routes? I mean, logically it makes perfect sense.
So what's happening is that we're getting the propaganda from those that are raising those animals to be tested on, because they want to make us feel a fear that we're not going to be able to be healthy unless they test on animals. They want to stay in that niche. They want to keep getting the government contracts. So they keep saying you need to test on animals, even though it's 94 fail rate when it comes to just meds alone, 100% fail rate when it comes to cancer research. So we're just torturing animals for literally nothing when we have organs on a chip, organites, I think is what they're called, AI systems that are able to be more reliable than animal tests. And we have to do human testing anyway. That's how we know that 94% stat, that's 94% of all the tests that pass in animals, only 94%, all of 94% fail. So only 6% are passing in human trials, because we're not the same anatomy. We're different beings.
Someone said, I ate a lamb shoulder today. Okay, I ate a baby shoulder today. It's basically the same exact thing.
Same.
I decided to
Eat your own shoulder.
I decided to cut a baby's shoulder off and eat it. Yummy yum. It's essentially what you're saying. You decided to pay for an animal, a baby animal, to be bred into existence, exploited, and chopped up into pieces so that you could have a 15-minute meal that you could otherwise not have had and just eat something else.
Dairy comes from someone who needed to be raped in order to have a pregnancy. After 9 months of pregnancy, that baby was stolen from her so that you could eat ice cream, cheese, and put milk in your coffee and cereal. Does that sound fair? Would you like to be a milk machine? They care, dairy cows are one of the most maternal creatures that we exploit on the farm, and they bellow for their babies. They care. They don't want to be separated. And that's just so you can drink their milk.
Someone said, is it allowed to eat an animal that died of natural causes?
Why do you even want to eat them?
Yeah.
Why don't you try to eat humans that died of natural causes? Because they were a someone, and we can still recognize they were a someone. You don't need to eat them. You can eat something else.
Right, and also, realistically, nobody's probably going to do that, or at least...
Yeah, every hunter, every farmer, every person that I've talked to that raises animals or goes after animals for food knows that you don't eat an animal unless you were the one that killed them, because you don't know what happened to them. You don't know if they're sick or if, whatever happened could affect you. So it's not safe to do that. But when we're talking about just pure morality, right, we're saying that was still a someone. And that's why we respect our dead still, because we still see them as that someone.
Right, and realistically, people aren't going to eat animals that die of natural causes because there's one, it's not financially effective and cost effective, and two, I mean, the reason why we eat animals and kill them as young as we do is because the older they get, their flesh gets tougher and not as nice, I guess, if you want to say. So that's the reason why we kill animals so young typically, is because that meat is more
Tender.
palatable. Yeah.
But I mean, old, young, even if we were to take animals' lives when they're at the end of it, would you want to be an 80-year-old person and be like, pew pew? Should we do that to all 80-year-olds? You've had enough life. Pew pew. No.
Right. Yeah. It's just the use of it's just viewing the animals as an object, even if they die of natural causes, viewing them as still a resource that you can use even in death. That's the idea that we're trying to reject. Because again, you wouldn't do that to a human, and I'm sure if you had a companion animal at home, you wouldn't do that to them.
Exactly.
So
why are you throwing their body away?
yeah.
All right, well, we're going to wrap it up there. I really appreciate y'all being here. Let's get the anti-animal use in here. Well, Luke is actually still talking to someone. Maybe we should we wait for Luke? Oh, and Pam is talking to somebody.
Oh yeah, I didn't know.
I'm gonna run to the bathroom real quick.
Okay, go for it.
Rebecca, then I guess we can.
Yeah, I'll still be right here. I want to wait for Luke and Pam. So we'll still be standing here for a little bit.
I'm gonna give him like maybe 8 minutes, and then
Okay.
I might try to save him because it has been a long time.
It has been a long conversation.
He needs it.
Yeah. So we're not here to dictate. Oh, sorry, you're not.
You're okay.
We're not here to dictate. We're actually here to speak up that there are voices being ignored because someone is benefiting from their voices not being heard. And if you demand that animals be exploited, you're one of those oppressors. So we're asking the oppressors to act how you think you would want your oppressor to act. Stop using other animals. Stop exploiting them. Find the alternatives. Find your favorite ones. Take that effort to learn about what you're demanding. No, so it's not a period. And actually, chickens originally only had 12 to 15, and they did it during a certain part of the year because they were trying to have babies. They didn't just lay unfertilized eggs and they go, oh, that's for whoever. That's a waste of energy. That's not how you survive the wild. So we stole them from their home. We found genetic mutations within their groups, and we exploited that. We took those mutated ones that were overproducing eggs, and we made them mate with someone with the same genetics, someone they wouldn't normally mate with, so that their baby benefited us, was this perfect slave. And up until now, we've been doing that constantly. So now, instead of only 15 eggs a year, they lay 300 or more. Just because you demand. And if you buy a chicken, if you buy eggs, you're saying this process is okay. Please bring someone else into existence to do the same thing, to bear this handicap of having a weight inside of me every day and never be able to be independent. Like, how is that ever fair to birth someone into existence that will never be independent on purpose? Yeah, so veganism is a rejection of all exploitation of all sentient beings as far as practicable and possible. So anytime that you recognize there's a victim involved, you ask yourself, what's in the best interest of the victim? And if I was them, what would I want my oppressor to do?
I saw somebody saying that we're promoting mass starvation while claiming to have the moral high ground. You need to educate yourself, because what veganism is proposing would actually end mass starvation.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to take the moral high ground. It's just actually, if you think about what you're doing, okay, so you're ordering the deaths of innocent, sentient other beings when we have other alternatives. It's just, it's just common sense to know that you don't have to do that to other beings when there's other options.
So many options.
Yeah, we're not trying to be moral high ground, but if you think we are, then maybe that's something that's hitting you and your cognitive dissonance, and you're having some defensiveness about your position in things.
Yeah. So if you were the victim, right, and your oppressor's like, well, I would stop using you, but that one over there, that person over there, that animal over there is eating someone else, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use you. Would you take that as a fair excuse? Is that justified now because there's harm elsewhere in the world? They can harm you? No. What matters is that you know what's right and wrong. If you demand respect for your own sentience, that you should be respected because you care about what's happening to you, then you should extend that same respect to those that also care about what's happening to themselves, who are also having a subjective experience.
Yeah, just because they don't look like you or talk the same as you or have the same culture as you doesn't mean that they don't matter.
Exactly. So life feeds on life. You can eat plants, fungi, seaweed. These things are still alive, but not sentient. They don't make preferences. They don't feel anything, emotions or feelings like pain. Animals do, and we have evidence of this. Knowing that they feel just as we do, what morally justifies using them when we have so many alternatives, or we can go without?
I think we're ready to wrap up.
Okay, did you get them? I'm just waiting for Luke and Pam.
Oh, I thought they were. They're done. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even see. Awesome. Let's come on in. Let's bring it in, y'all. I'm going to squat right about here, and y'all fill in behind me, and I'm going to keep an eye on. So Rebecca is this side. Got to be on this side, over, and Nick, come over this way a little bit more. Okay, so between Nick and Rebecca, you're going to lean in a little bit, Rebecca, just so they can see your face on the YouTube. This one's the more important one. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. We're anti-animal use here in Portland, Oregon, in front of the Pioneer. In front of the Pioneer Place Mall. We didn't have any conversations on camera, but we had a lot of off-camera conversations. So I'm still glad we came here. The weather was actually quite nice for quite a while, so I think we got some good conversations in that little peak of sunshine. So anyway, I'm Vegan Stoner Lady. You can find me on all platforms. Please follow Anti-Animal Use. We'll be live every weekend, and just keep an eye on us. Sometimes we do something a little different. So I'm going to pass the mic around.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Rebecca, theuncagedfront.org, and on Instagram. And I didn't have any conversations on camera today, but I did talk to 3 people. 2 out of 3 of them were already vegan. We actually had a lot of vegan conversations with vegans today. So it was pretty cool, but it's starting to rain, so I'm going to hand off the mic, and I hope you have a good vegan day. Here.
Hello, we have some trolls kind of behind us that have taken away some of our group members. They just tried to dismiss the vegan message by asking, but aren't you Jewish? I said, well, no, but we also oppose anti-Semitism. So that's when I ended the conversation. But
Terrible.
yeah,
Terrible.
some trolls over there. But anyway, sorry.
You're good. When you get confronted, especially by Pam, who's like a hella nice person. Awesome. Did anybody else?
Oh yeah, I haven't said anything yet.
Okay,
I was just okay. I'm Enigma. To anybody who's joined, thank you to all the vegans and mods for being here. If you're curious about the overlapping of human oppression and the oppression of our fellow Earthlings, please visit totalliberationnow.org. You can also connect with Total Liberation Now on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. We'd love to have you there. If you found these conversations insightful, if it has you reflecting but you haven't made up your mind, please consider just going vegan. But also subscribe to Anti-Animal Use because we have these conversations regularly.
Hello, I'm Luke. We had some nice conversations today. I was happy I met 2 other people who were vegan, and I had some other good conversations. When people are interested in veganism. Yeah, thank you all for being here. I hope you all stop exploiting animals if you're not vegan, and if you are vegan, keep doing what you're doing.
All right. I can take it.
Oh yeah, Nick,
you go first.
the order.
My name is Nick, aka grassfed_human on Instagram and TikTok. Fortunately, we didn't have any conversations today.
On camera.
On camera. There were some off on the side. So yeah, that was, good that we had them off on the side. It's always good to have them, but bummer that we didn't get any on camera. So that sucked, but it was still, I think a good day, and we talked to the chat a lot, and yeah, so it was good.
Pam.
Hi, I'm Pam. I'm Veggie Root on Instagram. I'm glad you're all here. I hope it was a good day on camera.
I'm sorry. I think you handed it to her.
We had some really good conversations, and I got to meet 2 cool vegans, and it was a good day, even though it's raining.
Yeah, way to go. Yes. Awesome. All right. Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and call it a day. Thank you guys for being here. If you're not vegan, be vegan. All right. Get out of here. Go find another vegan live.
Yeah,
Thank you.
who's are these?